Please, everyone, take your seats. Please take your seats. We're going to give you the CPRA coastal meeting started. Please take your seats. Call to order, please. Please take your seats. And we're gonna get the meeting started. First of all, my name is Gordon Dove. I'm the chairman of the CPRA, GOCA, and we want to thank the Water Institute for having this meeting here. And so with that, we're going to get started with the roll call. But I'm sorry, we'll go ahead and do the pledge first. So if everyone would stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Mr. England.
Chairman Dove. Secretary Gray. Mr. Edward Knight.
Present.
Mr. Kyler Bosworth.
Present.
Mr. Justin Fossey.
Present.
Mr. Pat Whitty.
Here.
Mr. Joey Bro.
Here.
Ms. Gina Campo. Present. Commissioner Temple.
Here.
Director Thibodeau.
Here.
Lieutenant Governor Nungesser.
Here.
Mr. Tony Alford.
Here.
Mr. Scott Burke.
Here.
Ms. Gorman. Here. Mr. Rubrick.
Here.
Mr. Bourgeois.
Here.
Mr. Hidalgo.
Here.
Ms. Cormier. Here. Mr. Guerra.
Here.
Mr. McGinnis.
Here.
Representative Drain.
Here.
Senator Hiskins.
Here.
Number 4.
Thank you, ma'am. And our first agenda item, approval of agenda motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Dwayne Bouchard, second by Bill Hidalgo. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes, motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And then, to get it started, Commissioner Temple would like to speak because he's got another engagement, so he would like to say a few words to everyone. So, Commissioner Temple.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence, and yeah, I have not mastered the art of being two voices at once, but what I'll do, I'm sure y'all take advantage of that. I wanted to address the board real quickly, just let you know from an insurance perspective that, I've been traveling extensively in the country and the European markets with regards to reinsurance and how it impacts Louisiana and how it impacts the cost of Louisiana. And one of the things that was pointed out repeatedly is the impact that insurance rates and reinsurance rates have directly. I've been talking to myself. How they directly relate to the price of insurance with regards to mitigation efforts that states do. And they are looking very closely at what Louisiana is doing as well as what Louisiana is not doing. After Hurricane Ida, Munich Re, which is one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world, did a report, and they noted that the damage that they incurred from reinsurance costs in Louisiana were less. They were mitigated, and it was directly related to the mitigation efforts that Louisiana has done. So I say that just to highlight the fact that the work that this group does and promotes does directly impact Louisiana policyholders, Louisiana citizens in a positive light. And I would just ask you to encourage the work that's done here. I will do what I can to get reinsurers to come and participate if it makes sense, so that we can continue to promote the good work. But I just wanted to make a point that it does make a positive impact. Restoration efforts that are taking place on the coast. And with that, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to tell everyone it's my honor and pleasure to serve as the chairman with this great group of ladies and gentlemen. And we have a few changes on the board right now, and of course, Secretary Tyler Green with DNR just sat down and welcome him, and Tony Alford, the Governor's Advisory Commission, and Ms. Arillo with our representative over here with DEQ, and so we welcome everyone here, and of course it's a great crowd, and we thank everyone for coming. And with that, we'll get to old business, opportunity for anyone in the, on the commission, on a CPRA board to address anything they'd like to say, anything anyone would like to say. Okay. Yes, Secretary Tyler Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for the tardiness. I did want to just make a quick announcement as it relates to the executive order that was issued on February 2nd. I'm honored to be able to serve in a capacity for Governor Landry and doing a due diligence exercise to look into ways that we can have some of the great things that CPRA has done over the years and see if we can get it to rub off on other agencies, whether it's through the targeted aspects of that agency to manage issues holistically, but also narrowly at the same time. It's really been an excellent and wonderful exercise in understanding what the history has been, opportunities to improve, and ways to potentially improve our overall state in the management of natural resources. So I would remind everyone that we have our first report that's due on Friday. The intention of that is to look through more of a process in which we could submit and continue to work on improving our state, and then also potentially attack some of the low-hanging fruit that could quickly improve our state. So with that, we have open forum for comments through the governor's website. If you do have something that you would like to be included, for sure, please don't hesitate to submit it. But at the same time, we are looking for a very public due diligence and everything that we can do to improve the way that we manage our resources in a way that's been tremendous improvement for our state with the way that CPRA has done it. It's really something to be proud of at a national level. And so it's something that we would like to try to emulate in other places. There are always ways to improve, and I look forward to that opportunity to work with you, Chairman Doug, and the rest of the staff and all those agencies on how we can put our state in a better place. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity and wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there is an opportunity to weigh in, and I look forward to having that conversation.
Thank you, Secretary Kyle.
Yeah, well, I feel honored and privileged to be able to sit on this board. I was going to mention this in a little while, but I guess I just go ahead and say it now. It's amazing what the CPRA has done. It's amazing what the CPRA and a local sponsor can do. Over the years, we've been pushing for this really great project in Terrebonne Parish. We just issued the project. It will be underway, under construction. It's a giant lock system and a navigational canal. Living in Houma, Louisiana, over the years, we've heard about, and sometimes we felt like it was overblown by all the trees that were dying on the side of the navigational canal with the salt water coming in. And until you go down that navigational canal, you see all those dead cypress and all the marsh that has receded and everything that's taken place. You really appreciate what devastation has taken place and what pace it's taken place. But with the coordination of the CPRA, the Corps of Engineers, Terrebonne Parish, that lock will become a reality. And so we actually just issued the project to a company to start construction. It's about a 4-year project. It's a huge lock system that's going to stop the salt water from coming into our parish and also stop the fresh water from leaving. The levee system that we currently have in place, that fresh water will spread throughout the entire system, trying to bring it back somewhat to what it was at one time. And so we're really anxious to see that take place and our parish to somewhat be refurbished to some degree. And it's just a tribute to what Louisiana, the CPRA, Terrebonne Parish, in coordination with the Corps, what we can accomplish. And I'd like to thank you guys for that.
Thank you very much, Tony. And on our next agenda item, the CPRA implementation update about the new executive director, which was appointed by Governor Jeff Landry. Glenn Leday would go ahead and give a presentation of the CPRA implementation. Glenn Leday, the new executive director of the CPRA. Welcome aboard, Glenn.
Thank you, Chairman Doug. Thank you, board. Before we get started, I just want to tell everybody in the room and the board that I'm extremely honored and privileged to serve. As Chairman Doug said, I have a passion. I've grown up in South Louisiana my entire life, so I have an extreme passion for the work that we do at CPRA. So I'm honored to serve the governor, the chairman, the board, and the great state of Louisiana. And really just want to thank everybody for having me and look forward to working with everyone. So as we kind of get started, just to kind of echo on what Mr. Alford said, is that really excited. I actually worked at CPRA previously and did consulting work for a long time, so I had the privilege of starting the design of the agency lot years ago. So really, really excited to be back at the agency to be able to start that construction. So thank you, Marcel. So this is my first implementation update. We've got a number of great things to share with the board and the public. And so if everybody's ready, I'm just going to jump right in. The first thing is really just to kind of look at a snapshot of where we are with projects. I know that the previous administration kind of goes through this, and it's really exciting to see. We've got currently right now 110 active projects. 43 of those are in construction. So that's really a testament to the agency and the board, all the hard work that they've done over the last decade to get to this point in the program. So it's extremely exciting. As you can see, you've got a variety of projects of different types that are across the state. And so what we'll do in this implementation update for the board, the new board members, is kind of go through a snapshot of those We obviously can't cover all of them. We've got, as Mr. Alford said, partners at the local and federal level that really help us. It's not just the agency, help us to get to this point. And so it's really exciting to be able to work with all the local 11 districts on the flood protection side, with all of the different agencies on the restoration side. So it's extremely exciting. What I want to highlight today is really two shoreline protection projects and a flood protection project that showcase the ability for us to work with local entities and utilize grant money from different areas to leverage those dollars to build really exciting projects. So with that, I'll jump right in. The first is the Rockefeller Shoreline Protection Project in Southwest Louisiana. So I know a lot of people are already familiar with this. This is actually a program that it's really become. It's a series of 3 projects where we're building shoreline protection in Cameron Parish along the Rockefeller Refuge. And it's really become an exciting project. We've leveraged funding from entities and different funding sources over multiple years. And so it's something that we've highlighted before and want to highlight again. In this particular case, we have the 3rd phase of this program where we are working with Cameron Parish and Calcasieu to leverage Restore money. And so you hear the Restore matching program. So we've leveraged our dollars as well as their Restore dollars to build an exciting piece of this project. As you can kind of see from this map, we've got some of the things that we showcased before is the 2 previously completed projects, ME 18 and ME 37, sorry, that were completed in 2020 and 2021, over 5 miles of shoreline protection in this critical area of the state. And so we've done that in collaboration with the locals there. And then this future program, which is ME 35, we're building up to 2 miles of shoreline protection in the area. And so it's really an exciting piece to this. This work is just initiating construction. So wanted to point that out to the board. What you've got here is now with this program of 3 projects, you've got over 7 miles of shoreline protection in this area. You've got funding sources that utilize Restore, CPRA, DNR actually provided funds as well. And so I know there's funding sources there that we can go through, but it's really an exciting project, over $28 million of shoreline protection that's been done. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that, y'all. Some technical difficulties. Yeah, thank you. Nope. While they bring that back up, I'll check. So the go 1 slide. Yes. Yes. So just finishing up on Rockefeller, one of the things that we like to do on these presentations for the new board members is to highlight all of the work that we do to partner with local firms. As you can see here, we've got a number of engineering data collection firms that have provided support on these projects. I won't go through all of those, but they provide, the critical expertise that we use to build these projects. So it's extremely exciting. In addition to that, construction's just started on the 3rd phase on ME 37. Rigid Contractors out of Lafayette is building that, so another local Louisiana firm that has been engaged in that. So it's really exciting. The second project we want to highlight is another Restore matching project. And so, again, this is another critical shoreline protection project that we partnered with the locals to highlight the ability to leverage these Restore matching funds. And so this is a project in Tangipahoa Parish. It's the Manchac Land Bridge Shoreline Protection Project. It's a rock breakwater system. Really, the project, as you can see, is an ongoing project that was initiated a few years ago. It's between Pass Manchac and the Tangipahoa River and really protects that critical habitat there. This is a snapshot of some of the work that was done in phase one. That's really an exciting piece to that because it was an award winner from the American Shore and Beach Preservation Association, and actually is actively building land behind the breakwater system. So that's something that these types of projects have the ability to do, and it's really exciting to see that in action. These are just some of the snapshots. This is a total of over $13.5 million that we're implementing on the ground, working with Tangipahoa Parish. It's 12,000 linear feet of shoreline protection, and you can see the two phases shown there in plan view. So it's really exciting work, and again, we've got a lot of good local firms at work here. We've got engineering firms working on the design, construction management, and data collection. And then that project was recently bid and awarded to the low bidder, Rigid Constructions, as well out of Lafayette. So a lot of good, exciting work going on with Louisiana firms. And then the third project we wanted to highlight, a flood protection project. This is a project that we partnered with South Lafourche on. This is the storm surge risk reduction section for Reach E North. This project is also in construction, and so we wanted to highlight that. This is actually a critical project. We had some overtopping that occurred there in the last hurricane, so it was critical that we lift that levee system to provide comprehensive protection in South Lafourche and maintain that system. And so wanted to highlight that. This is actually again a multi-phase project. We're currently working with South Lafourche to do stockpiling of the material and processing, and then we'll move into the second phase where we actually lift the levee system and implement that. But this is a critical piece of the South Lafourche levee system, and wanted to highlight that. Again, as I mentioned, we do a lot of work with our federal responsible corps and a lot of work with our local levee districts across the state. So can't highlight all those today, but we'll certainly be doing that in the coming months as we get into the year. As we like to highlight, we've got local firms that work on this project as well. PCO and Associates is working with South Lafourche on the design of that, and then that has been awarded to Construction Site Specialties out of Carrickfergus. So a lot of good work going on with Louisiana firms there. Shifting gears a bit, wanted to highlight some of the upcoming work that we're doing with the NIFWIF National Coastal Resiliency Fund. That grant opportunity has provided really a great opportunity to kickstart a lot of neat projects, and so we wanted to highlight some of those. Of course, CPRA does a portion of those, but a lot of those grants go to local entities as well as other NGOs. So we've got the grant that CPRA was recently awarded, which is the Breton Land Bridge Marsh and Living Shoreline Creation Project. That's roughly $7.8 million. So a lot of good work there. As you see, we've got Audubon has received a grant for the Enhancing the Resiliency of the Brady Conservation Alliance. And then Ducks Unlimited just received $650,000 for Westbury Terry Basin. And so those are some really great projects that we want to highlight. In addition to that, we've got 5 other grants for a variety of projects. We have CPRA also received one to initiate the design and data collection for the Orleans Parish Living Shoreline Project. Pontchartrain Conservancy received $450,000 to initiate the resiliency plan for St. James Parish. Ducks Unlimited received money to construct living shorelines and marsh terraces to enhance community resilience. The Grandow Levee District received funds in the amount of $607,000 to initiate the design for marsh and mangrove restoration, shoreline protection there. And then Lowland Center has also received money to develop the final design to mitigate sea level rise and wetland loss across a variety of areas. So a lot of good work that we're putting to use on the ground with the NIFWIF dollars, and so just excited to announce these grant awards. I know we'll be providing a comprehensive update on the annual plan at the next board meeting, but just wanted to provide a quick update on where we are with it. And so the just first thing is the general timeline. Every year we go through this, but this year it's a little bit accelerated with the shift in session. And so we have gone through the process of presenting the draft annual plan to the board in December, and then opening that up for comments, and comments close on February 18th. So we're now in the process of reviewing and addressing those comments and producing a draft final annual plan that we'll present to the board at next month's meeting. And so we had some public meetings that took place at the end of January, beginning of February, had a great turnout, really always provide really great feedback from the public. And so I'm happy to get that and incorporate that into this update on the annual plan. Just for information, if the public is interested, you can view that draft annual plan on our website, and then we will obviously be updating that as we incorporate the feedback from the comments. And if anyone's interested, you can go to that website there. But we'll be providing that exciting update to the board next month. Just to finish off, kind of a series of additional updates on a lot of the other activities going on at CPRA. The first is, I know Colonel Jones is going to talk about this, but we're kicking off with the Corps an important study for the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Study. This is a 5-year mega study that the Corps is initiating, and CPRA is the non-federal sponsor in the state of Louisiana. And so it's an exciting study to look at a variety of things related to the Lower Mississippi. Well, I don't want to steal the Colonel's thunder, but just wanted to point out that we've got some important public scoping meetings coming up. And so it's important to notate that for the public and stakeholders. We're going to be present there. You can see there's 5 of them that are coming up in the next few weeks. And so just wanted everybody to be aware of that, and really looking forward to getting that important feedback from the public and the stakeholders as we scope this important study. And I know the Colonel's going to talk more about that. The other thing that we always want to mention is the CPRA program, which really got us kick-started years ago, but we had the task force meeting that authorized design and construction for the last priority list of projects. And so with that, you can see there we had our phase 1 approvals of 2 really good projects, the South Delacroix Marsh Creation, as well as the Northwest Little Lake Marsh Creation Extension. So those were approved for engineering and design. And then we had the phase 2 approval for construction. So that was actually 3 projects: St. Catherine Island Marsh Creation and Shoreline Protection, Regio Marsh Creation, and the South Branch near Baker Track Marsh Creation. So it's exciting to see that process take place in January, for PPL 33. And then in addition to that, the CPRA team is already preparing for the next PPL 34, as their planning team committee meetings take place and start evaluating the next round of projects. So we'll be excited to kickstart those in both design and construction, and giving you updates as those progress. The final update today is just to note that coming up on March 25th, we'll have Coastal Day at the legislature. So excited to do my first Coastal Day as the executive director. It's actually become a week-long process where we provide industry updates the week prior, and then have an opportunity to engage with the legislature and as well as industry and the public on this. And so it's really an exciting day. We'll provide updates through our outreach on the exact schedule of all of the events, but just wanted everybody to be aware that's coming up on March 25th. And we'll be setting up dates to look at industry networking events and other things. So it's really become not only an exciting day, but an exciting week leading up to that, and we do a lot of outreach. Finally, we always want the public, stakeholders, local sponsors to connect with us. You know where to find us. Obviously, reach out to me. We have great staff, and excited to work with everybody as kickstart the new era as executive director. So appreciate the time and happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Dwayne, Blue Terrebonne Basin.
Yes, okay. Hey, not too much a question, comment. Thanks for the presentation. It's really good. One of the things you emphasized in there was the the number of local companies that these contracts are being administered through and what have you. And I think that that's very important because one of the things I think we miss about these things, besides their impacts on the local protection and restoration and of our natural resources, is how many times those dollars, all of the money that's being spent, how many times that turns in the economy and things like that. So I'm kind of curious if maybe at some point we start to try to capture that, because it impacts, as you can see, not only the companies that are coastal, right on the coast, but it's impacting the companies that are more to the northern part of the state too. So they have a vested interest in what we're doing in coastal Louisiana, and it benefits the whole state. So just that's the only comment I was thinking about it, because it really, you focused on it and it did. When you really start adding it up, it's a lot. It's a whole lot that can turn over and over and over again in the local economy.
Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois. That's a great point. Of course, I know firsthand, I worked for one for a while, and so I certainly agree with you. And then, yeah, we will certainly work with our team to see if we can capture that economic impact. Yeah, it is.
Yes, Secretary Tyler, agree with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would add, appreciate Mr. Bourgeois, your comments around that. Any way we can expound on that as it relates to flood protection is always very helpful.
And Ms. Laurie Cormier with Calcasieu Basin.
First of all, I'd like to welcome you. I'd like to welcome you, Chairman Dove. Look forward to working with you, as well as you, Mr. Leday. Couple of points I want to make. I need to say to you guys, rocket, 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 because over the years I've said that. And I'm grateful and thankful for the Rockefeller Shoreline Protection. It's all right. Okay, sorry. Grateful and thankful for the Rockefeller Shoreline Protection for the 7 miles we have. But two points I want to make. One is that Calcasieu Parish put up some of their restore dollars to make that happen. And so not only are we protecting Cameron Parish, we're also protecting Calcasieu Parish. So just want to put that in your brain. And also, I would look forward to the next couple of years rocking another 24 miles that we have to go. Let me say this. I really do believe, kudos, Dwayne, for you saying what you said about the economic impact. I would love for you guys to investigate the economic impact of the damage that could have come with Delta and Laura had it not been for those rocks and had it not been for the large mass marsh creation projects we had in place. So eventually we're going to need to start looking at those dollars too, because that'll go to our cost benefit. And the benefit of these projects being placed in Cameron Parish to protect the infrastructure and the people of Calcasieu Parish is invaluable. And I know when Laura happened, we got some terrible 150-mile-an-hour wind damage, but we did not get the flooding that was anticipated. And I would just say, because of the hard work of this board and all the people in the coastal industry, I think we might have dodged that bullet because of the rocks and the marsh creation. So not so much a question, just a comment, and my gratitude and my looking forward to working with both you gentlemen and the rest of the new board members. So thank you for that, but we look forward to the next couple of years having the other 24 miles done as well. Rocket, rocket, rocket.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. Can you respond?
No, thank you, Ms. Cormier. We look forward to working with you and certainly agree on those points, and we'll do everything we can to try to provide that.
Thank you.
Any other remarks? Any board members? And I'd like to add what you just said. We, under the me as chairman, and I think a lot of other members feel the same way, that success that you've seen on Grand Isle, Rockefeller, in Terrebonne Parish, the Raccoon Island is very, very successful. Went through 2 Cat 1s, Ida, Hurricane Barry, 3 non-named storms, and it's strong. It looks like the day that it started. So it's very successful, and you see a lot of aggression, a lot of aggressive moves on our behalf on rocks. especially the segmented breakwater rocks that have been so successful in Louisiana. And thank you for bringing that point. Are there any other members? With that,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Glenn, and we look forward to working with you. Okay, and with that, we'll move to the Colonel Jones of the United States Army Corps of Engineers update. And as past president of Terrebonne for 8 years, when he first came in, I had the honor and pleasure of working with him because we did quite a few projects, and he got our permits out timely and would meet with us. If you call him on a cell phone, he answers, and it's really been good to work with you, Colonel Jones, and we look forward to the future.
Well, Chairman Dub and members of the board, thank you again for giving me the opportunity to come here and provide you an update on some of the exciting progress that CPRA alongside the Corps of Engineers and our local partners are making in South Louisiana. So I always like to start off with this map of the New Orleans District's area of responsibility and how we work alongside CPRA, other state agencies, and our local teammates. What does this show us? You know, from Old River Control Complex to the Gulf of Mexico, from heel to toe, we've got active construction projects and studies, all of which to buy down risk for life, property, and prosperity. And that's only happening as we work together. You know, going back to Glenn's discussion on the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Study, I just want to take a few moments to talk to this esteemed board here on the criticality of getting these public scoping comments throughout. You know, in addition to the 5 in-person meetings that we're going to have throughout the great state of Louisiana, there's going to be a total of 14 going up and down the river. The scope of this study is going to be huge. As you heard, across 7 states, from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, nearly 975 river miles. What's the purpose of this massive $525 million study? I'll tell you. It's to develop actionable recommendations on the comprehensive management of the Lower Mississippi River across multiple purposes. Everything ranging from hurricane and storm damage reduction, flood risk mitigation for both structural and non-structural solutions, floodplain management strategies. You're looking at also navigation, ecosystem restoration, environmental restoration, water supply, hydropower, recreation, and possibly even more as designated by the agency. So as such, these public scoping meetings are critical to get individuals' concerns, needs, and insights so that we can develop those actionable recommendations that are going to lead to successful management of this river for generations to come. And it's going to be truly a team effort. It's not just the districts within the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, but we're working alongside our state partners. We've got 7 representatives along the river, our one gates to the state, to include CPRA, that's going to be helping us through this study process, and our local agencies, and most importantly, the public. Our team has been working alongside the states for the last several months, collecting data, engaging with the stakeholders, and laying the groundwork for these upcoming meetings starting on the 27th of February. And as such, I implore you to get out to your communities, get them engaged so they can provide their perspectives on the river, how they view the current flood risk management systems, so their input can be utilized as we develop the recommendations within this study. So I'm excited for everyone to go to our websites, get those dates, and then in addition to all the in-persons, we're also on the 12th of March, we're going to have a virtual public scoping meeting to also support individuals that can't get out on site as well. So we're excited to get all that information in to help us shape this study for the comprehensive management of the Mississippi River for years to come. So on that note, get out and let everyone know, get onto that QR code so we can get individuals their input in. As you look at it today, I'm also going to get the opportunity to talk about some of the other great progress we have. We're going to start on what I like to call Louisiana's southern flank of Grand Isle, showing some of the great progress that we've had to date and how we're continuing to move forward with CPRA to build a resilient barrier island as a part of their 3-legged stool of barrier islands, beneficial use of dredge material, and diversions as they create a resilient South Louisiana. From there, we're going to move up north to the hurricane storm damage risk reduction system and show you the continued progress that we've had at the permanent canal closures and pumps to deliver the 35-year design life on those critical sets. From there, we're going to show that we're excitedly moving on to the tail end of our St. Tammany Parish feasibility study, how we're working alongside CPRA and the St. Tammany Parish to move that critical risk reduction project forward. And then finally, showing our irreversible momentum on West Shore Lake Pontchartrain as we continue to support St. John, St. James, and St. Charles parishes there. So starting off with Grand Isle, I just give you a very quick story. The level of visibility that we have within the Corps of Engineers and the Department of the Army. On the 27th of October, I had the honor of escorting the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works, say that 10 times fast, Mr. Pinkham, to visit here and see some of the great works. And one of the things we did was we conducted an overflight of Grand Isle. We were able to actually fly down, pick up Mayor Carmodell, and he joined us on that overflight to show the progress that we are making throughout. And it's been huge. As the board is probably tracking, our BB-18 construction projects were completed in July of 2022 with 6 breakwaters and 1.5 miles of dune and feature nourishment completed. At the same time, our post-idle repairs are on glide path to be completed in November of this year. That includes both our stone repairs, which we're looking to get done this May, and along with the dune and feature repairs anticipated in November. So that is all moving in a very good direction. At the same time, under the Disaster Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act, we've got the opportunity under what's called a general reevaluation report to look at ways and means and alternatives to increase the resiliency of Grand Isle against future storm surge and tropical events. We were able to start that in February of last year, and we are anticipating completion in September of 2027. Just find out we can make that location even more resilient in the future. Once again, the good partnership that we have with CPRA, they've reached out and looked at the opportunities for us to conduct construction of offshore breakwaters. Originally, when we were conducting the post-idle repairs, they did not meet the criteria under Public Law 8499. But recently, under Order 22, under I believe Section 8138, there may be some opportunities and flexibilities to pursue that. Given their expressed interest in it, we are moving out to determine, working with both the Mississippi Valley Division and headquarters, if that's in the realm of possible, and developing what's called a project information report to support the construction of those offshore breakwaters, which you can see delineated with the purple polygon as such. And then we will be able to fund this under FCCE. Realizing that is one way to get there, we're also working alongside CPRA and other methods. The possibility to get that approved under the general evaluation report, as I talked about, under the resiliency study, then also looking at ways and means to potentially work alongside CPRA to have them constructed under the 408 program, and then making sure that we establish a working time memorandum of understanding that they can be reimbursed in the future if it determines to be a federal investment under the resiliency report. So I'll pause there on Grand Isle. A lot of exciting updates and momentum at this location. Just want to see if anybody has any thoughts or comments.
Well, Colonel, of course, I've been speaking to you on Grand Isle, and we appreciate y'all reaching out and working with CPRA to help us expedite putting these segmented breakwater rocks because of the success we've had in the past. Thank y'all very much for expediting this project.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Once again, I really appreciate the outreach from both you and Glenn to get this so that we can make sure that we prioritize it. So moving north, we continue to make great progress on our commitment to delivering the 35-year design life on the Portage Canal closure pump. As this board recalls, in February of last year, we identified advanced corrosion pumps and immediately working alongside CPRA, Flood Protection Authority East, and the joint venture that originally delivered this under a design-build contract to move in, ascertain the problems, and start conducting repairs. And we are moving out. As soon as we got out of hurricane season 2023, we began conducting site assessments, and then in February, we began direct actions to look at the pump corrosions. In February of 2024, we completed disassembly of pump number 1 at 17th Street. And then as of yesterday, we have 4 of the 17 pumps are disassembled and conducting preparations for surface repair. So what does that mean? We're going to be getting those surface preparations on the diffusion elbows, these large components of the pump systems, so they're ready to receive their first coats. And we're also setting up scaffolding inside these massive pump structures so that we can get experts in there to remove any material, recoat and set them up for success. At the same time, looking at a three-legged stool of prevention of advanced corrosion in the future, not just protective coatings, but we also have stainless steel components on order to replace other ones to give them more resiliency in the future. And then we're making great progress on ensuring the installation of what's called a cathodic protection system to prevent future corrosion as well, giving it a sacrificial anode where they can move those electrons if anybody wants to go through and talk cathodic protection. We're happy to do that at a later date. But with that, the key aspect there is we're looking to get between 5 to 8 pumps working with the JV joint venture completed this repair season, as I'm calling it, and ensuring that we do an effective turnover with both CPRA and Flood Protection Authority East to ensure that each of these pumps are ready and reliable for hurricane season 2024. At the same time, the team is also going to ensure those remaining pumps that do not get repaired this season, which are going to be set aside for next season, are also assessed and ensured that they can also provide service during this hurricane season. As we're also addressing the advanced corrosion at these pump stations, we're also taking this opportunity to identify other deficiencies and get those repaired at the same time while we're in here conducting these repairs. So good news is basement cracks at London Avenue are completed for repairs. 17th Street, they're making the surface preparations so they can get in and conduct those in an expeditious fashion. And then lastly, at Orleans, we're looking to get in there in March of this year. We're getting site preparation to get done. At the same time, there's also some potential sinkholes out of location, not affecting operation of the facilities, but still between today and the end of this week, the joint venture has already mobilized divers to look at these potential locations and ensure that they have ways and means moving forward to get those repaired in a resilient fashion. So for some of y'all, you've probably seen this placemat both on our social media feeds and also during our monthly stakeholder update to provide an in-depth overview of what we've done the last month and what we're projected to do forward. This is just one of our commitments to ensure that we are executing good cooperation, collaboration, and communication as we go through and conduct these repairs in an expeditious fashion to ensure the reliability of these systems. Chairman, I just want to once again reiterate and appreciate the cooperation of CPRA and Flood Protection Authority East. We have all been shoulder to shoulder alongside us and our joint venture to move this in the right direction. Everyone has been focused on solutions, as I've got some great feedback from Flood Protection Authority East on that. And that has been the secret to success, and it's going to continue to maintain our momentum moving forward. So on that, I'll pause to see if there's any questions in regards to permanent canal closures and pumps.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, thank you, Colonel, and thank you for working with CPRA in the state of Louisiana.
Thank you, Chairman. Now I get to talk about some more exciting progress as we look at St. Tammany Parish feasibility study. For some of us are very intimately aware of this opportunity, but just to give everyone an idea of the magnitude of what we're presenting here. We've been able to go through and provide a recommended plan where we're going to look at the construction of a west-south slide-out levee of 18.5 miles of levees, flood walls, drainage structures, and pump stations, and then complementing that with the ability to provide non-structural solutions for 6,500 residences in St. Tammany Parish. What is that buying us? And this number keeps coming up, but 60,000 residents are going to see a reduction of storm risk in that area where they have not seen it in the future. So that is huge. And once again, working with CPRA, St. Tammany Parish, we have been moving forward, and we successfully transmitted our final report to headquarters, United States Army Corps of Engineers, yesterday. We got our confirmation report back, and that places us on the glide path for our chief's report on or about the 14th of May. We recently had what's called our Tier 1 review, where we have our senior executive service leaders at headquarters USACE reviewing our report as we progress it, because it's considered a mega study from their perspective. And having both Brian Zena and Weston Bond online to provide their unequivocal support by the non-federal sponsor was essential. So once again, excited to continue to move this in the right direction as we move forward, and then getting that chief's report submitted and approved. And I'll pause there for any questions on St. Tammany Parish feasibility study. Yes, sir.
Carl, have you ever looked at building berms or outlets out in Lake Pontchartrain to lower that storm surge to the North Shore? We developed a plan in Plaquemines partnering with the Corps in Vicksburg to design a berm that was certified by y'all lower storm 5 feet. A plan that we never did implement in Plaquemines Parish. But it's been talked about building these ridges or islands in the lake, and deepen the lake, make it healthier, and actually lay down some of that storm surge to the North Shore. And I don't know if that was ever looked at or not.
So I wanted to see if it was screened out early and the alternatives. But what I can tell you is, as a part of the St. Tammany Parish feasibility study, this is just the federal investment. It is a system of systems. And I'm excited, once again, the great partnership with CPRA. They are looking at opportunities to provide enhancing features and structures under the coastal master plan alongside what the St. Tammany Parish Levy District is looking to implement, so that we have overlapping sectors of defense. But I can go back and check to see if that was ever screwed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
I'd like to just say a quick comment here. This is a great example of partnerships. I'm chairman of the St. Tammany Lake Drainage Conservation District. I have no staff and I have no money. And yet, look where we've come in 4.5 short years with these partnerships. And I can't say thank you enough to the Colonel, who has given us his utmost cooperation. He has walked levee alignments. He has met with constituents. He has spoken to a group, and he's provided great access with his staff. And I want to thank all of you and the partnership with CPRA, with the St. Tammany Levee Drainage Conservation District and St. Tammany Parish. Thank you so much for doing this for us and helping us protect our community.
Thank you, Susan. It's great work with you. All right, and then moving on to our last topic, and probably one of Monica's favorites, is the continued momentum, irreversible momentum that we're having on West Shore Lake Pontchartrain Hurricane and Storm Damage Risk Reduction Project. Just for the group, realizing that, see here, once again, another 18.5 mile levee system of flood walls, pump stage, drainage structures, and ring levees currently for St. James Parish. Once again, supporting another 60,000 residents in South Louisiana across those 3 parishes. Last year we had a record amount of awards. $330 million across 8 contracts. You can see right now we've got 5 ongoing. As everyone else is also tracking, I had the pleasure of providing an update on the cost increases that we saw in this project. We executed our change control board with headquarters United States Army Corps of Engineers on the 6th November of last year. I'm excited to say that we're very close to getting to the completion and determination of that board that will enable us to both potentially access HIMSS reserve funds or Harvey, Irma, and Maria resiliency funds to continue progress. And I know that both CPRA and our local sponsors have been coordinating with the Godells on potential legislative relief to untap or tap into other funds to go throughout. The other exciting news that we have with this is I know that under our current PPA agreement with CPRA, they're able to start moving out and start construction of the Marpol freshwater diversion mitigation feature, which is going to complete the remaining western levee sections for the St. John and St. Charles levee system, at the same time establishing that freshwater connection and nutrient connectivity with the Mississippi River back into the Marpol Swamp. Once again, a great synergy of projects to deliver both risk reduction for the communities and resiliency, but at the same time providing ecosystem restoration and environmental support. So on that note, I'll pause there for any questions or updates for West Shore Lake Pontchartrain.
Yes, ma'am.
Colonel, thank you so very much. You know how excited we are about this West Shore Lake Pontchartrain. I'd like, everyone to know it has taken Louisiana such a long time to come where we are in all these projects. Chairman here, Southwest, North Louisiana, it's amazing, but the cooperation, the collaboration, and the courtesies that have been extended by the Army Corps of Engineers in these projects, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the lessons learned from PCCP, the one that we were just talking about, the pumps in the city itself, and you've incorporated that into those same improvements to PCCP are being applied in West Shore. So they'll be applied in all our other projects. I commend your staff and the relationships and the partnerships that we formed over the years between the parishes, CPRA, the state, the Corps. It goes a long way. And for the first time in decades, it just seems like we're all working together. There really is this regional aspect that's come to light, and everyone is willing, and everyone on the board, we all understand what it means to be a resident of this state. We all have Louisiana on our address. It doesn't matter what parish we live in, because when there's an event, we all come and start ringing, and we all say, what do you need? What can we do? Where can I go? So for that, it just compliment finally we're all taking our lessons learned from that horrific Katrina and all the other storms since then, and incorporating it into utilizing the best science and the money. Put your money where your mouth is, kind of sweet. So thank you.
No, Monica, thank you very much. And I appreciate the comments on the incorporation of lessons learned. Another great example of that is you think about both the St. Tammany Parish feasibility study and West Shore Lake Concentrating, both 18.5-mile levee systems and some of the probably most challenging geotechnical terrain you can ask for in the world. But those hard lessons learned that we got from West Shore, we can directly apply to St. Tammany Parish, so that we have a very resilient and comprehensive feasibility study, so that people understand the challenges that will occur to deliver these critical pieces of infrastructure. So thanks for that.
Thank you very much. And to add to that lessons learned, what Terrible learned with Ida was a reverse head of 185 mile an hour of a reverse head with blowing to the south, creating a 12 to 14 foot waves in our Homer Navigation Canal, and actually broke loose our biggest floodgate we have. So Tony Alfred, Levy Board, and Reggie Dufresne came back and started putting flap gates in it. So we've learned a lesson. We gotta let the water out now. So a reverse head can be as dangerous as one coming from the south. So it was a lesson learned on Ida, and it was 185 mile an hour. We were clocking coming from the north to the south, and they corrected that problem. So with that, Mr. Dwayne Bourgeois, Terrible base.
Hey, Colonel, a couple of quick things. First of all, thanks for the cooperation and everything we do. I think we've got with core leadership the better cooperation than we've had in a long time, and I do appreciate it. Quickly towards the Lower Mississippi River study. We call it the Lower Mississippi River, but I think the upper part of the study is what, Cairo?
Cape Girardeau.
Cape Girardeau, okay, so Cape Girardeau down, but it's really the lower Mississippi River where all the action takes place. And I think that, no disrespect to my friends on Mississippi Valley Flood Control Association, a lot of their goal is, here's the water, we just need to get it to go past us. We've got a lot more that has to be done here. And so I'm encouraging everybody to stay involved in it. And I think, this is where the action really takes place in the lower Mississippi River. And the other thing that I was going to comment towards, not particularly West Shore, but this is a challenge for all of us. West Shore experienced some huge cost increase, right? Pretty much CPRA and our individuals that represent different agencies here all turn out to be the non-federal sponsor for these large cost increases. And so now we're looking at 35% of a much larger number. I know that there's only so much you can do with regards to costs, with inflationary costs and things like that. But I ask for your commitment for the Corps to do everything that it can do to try to keep some of the costs of these projects down, because we're seeing that it's having, in your case, you can go back to, and we all support you going back to Congress and everyone to try to get additional fundings. Our headquarters find that little bit of funding that's left under a rock, but we can only go to that so many times and find those additional fundings. And then locally, we're having to come up with, the 35% of a much bigger number. So I'm asking your serious commitment to do everything you can to try to keep the cost down on projects, and that is clean across the board in all of the course activities.
Dwayne, I couldn't agree more. You have our commitment. Just to give you an idea of some of the actions that we're taking internally on a daily basis at this point, so we don't get into these situations in the future. We're looking at senior executive level review within our districts on like individual risk analysis, looking at the data that we're able to obtain during the feasibility level study, identifying where the uncertainties and risks are, making sure that we're applying the appropriate level of contingency now so that we don't have to execute or look for funds in the future. Once again, I think St. Tammany Parish feasibility study is a great example of that. When we look at the structural solution of the levee system, given the fact that we have a certain amount of time and space to conduct that engineering, we're applying a 51% contingency just to make sure that we can deliver that project as described in the feasibility report when we present that to the chief.
Well, thank you, Elaine, and with that, Mr. Bill Hidalgo, Chapel Basin.
Colonel, thank you very much. I want to also thank you so much for having one of your meetings in Morgan City for the Global Mississippi study. And need to, at this time, really go on record that 70-30 split is important to our area. The Chapel takes 30% of the water from the Mississippi River, and the south central area of Iberia, St. Mary, and Terrebonne is really impacted by this water. And there's another thing that is of concern to us, which maybe is not part of this study yet, but the flow line study of the Atchafalaya River. We are concerned. I think the Atchafalaya Levee District is concerned about that, as well as the St. Mary Levee District, because we know that there's been an impact on the flow line in the river as it fills in and as it changes. And again, we thank you for having a meeting in Morgan City. Thank you, sir.
And we're excited to have it. And once again, those types of public comments are going to be essential as we gather what the public's views are to help shape the study. And then with that, also realize through the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Study, there's opportunity for spin-off studies, such as you were talking about. And not only do we have to wait till the end of our report across the 5 years, through our annual reports to Congress, we can also provide those recommendations. So there's lots of opportunities. That's a long way of saying we're excited to hear your viewpoints and your teammates' viewpoints in Morgan City in the near future.
Yes, sir. And thank you again, because that area, that lower central area of Louisiana, does not have an option. It has to take the water. So, to exceed that 30% is, the impact could be very great. Again, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Lauren Coney with Calcasieu Basin.
Colonel, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you could just give us a little brief update on Southwest Coastal while you're here, and I just request Chairman Dove that maybe next meeting you can have a more in-depth, since we're starting to move forward on that. If you could just give the citizens of Calcasieu Parish just an update of where we are on that. I flipped through your slides and I didn't see it, so I don't know if you were planning on talking about it, but if so, would you please just give us an update?
Very good. I am now.
Yeah.
Well, first off, the key aspect here is that we are moving out. I'm really excited to report, and I told you earlier, we recently received our first non-standard estate, or our real estate instrument, from the headquarters U.S. Army Corps of Engineers real estate chief, to enable us to go through and do non-structural solutions within those parishes. So that means we can start working with homeowners to start elevating. I know some of them have reached out to you recently. They're very excited. We're in the process now to move forward to award our design build contractors to get those shoring companies out there, get those first 72 homes raised. That's going to be our test case, our proof of concept. That's going to enable us then to move out and continue. So on that aspect, we are moving out in a very good direction. We're excited for people to continue to come back and volunteer for the program, get screened, get on the list so that we can get them elevated. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you everyone from the board. Have a good day.
Thank you, Colonel, and thanks Corps of Engineers. And, I'm looking around trying to see what any new faces I see, and Mr. Justin Crossy with DEQ, welcome. We had the opportunity to work with him. He was an instrumental part of the governor's transition team, along with Tony and others, and they did a great job, and we thank him, and we got this forward with, gave us a lot of area to go into, and one other thing, so we welcome you here. And one other thing, Bill, I didn't hear you say 2 words. It's done, huh? Why you shake?
That's the 2 words.
So with, long time, okay? With that, the Louisiana Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board presentation, Samantha Carroll. Please come up.
While that's loading, my name is Samantha Carroll. I'm the Executive Director of the Louisiana Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board. Thank you to the CPRA for having us and adding us to the agenda. Our board, along with some of our seafood industry members, have come together to produce this video presentation for you, just to voice some of the concerns that they have about the diversion project, or the diversion portion of this project. With that, I'm going to play the video and then I'll say anything after.
I'm going wrong. The mission. The very character is that the greatest man-made event. I'm going wrong. The Mid-American diversion will go down as the greatest man-made disaster in the history of our state.
This maritime diversion will destroy nothing in the marine resources and for the dock.
We brought back up, so we got to jump around.
I'm going wrong. The Mid-American sediment diversion as a man-made history of our state.
This maritime diversion will give you.
Everyone requested a 5-minute break so they could get this running, so if everybody could get a cup of coffee or take a break, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you all.
Please take a seat. Let's begin to resume in 2 minutes. Please take a seat. No, you can't.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and resume with the Louisiana Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board presentation. Samantha Carroll.
Thank you. I think we got it all figured out now. We can go ahead and.
I'm Lawson. The Mid-Para 7 diversion will go down as the greatest man-made disaster in the history of our state.
This maritime diversion will destroy our life. They're doing something that is going to harm Blackman's Parish. I think we really know that we have in the real resources of the nation. You can't put a dollar value on a culture and heritage.
I'm Bill Mendes, Lieutenant Governor of the State of Louisiana, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Mississippi River diversion. Back in 2011, the first meeting was held in Blackman's Parish when I was parish president about this diversion. At the time, the cost was estimated to be $250 million. And we were concerned that it wouldn't lower storm surge to Blackman's Parish or the coastal Louisiana. Today I've learned not only will it not lower storm surge, but the incredible harm it will do to our seafood and fisheries industry across Louisiana.
Louisiana is noted as being sportsman's paradise, and it's not freshwater fish that we're noted for. We have some of the best fishing in the world, inshore and offshore, but it's the saltwater basin, and our fishing industry just can't survive in polluted river water. Simple as that. All our economy is based, especially here in St. Bernard Parish, is based on our saltwater fishing industries.
On the southern end of the parish and on the east bank side of Blackman's Parish, that is their livelihood. We have about 20%, 30% of seafood comes out of Blackman's Parish from the state of Louisiana.
Our oysters have touched every table in every restaurant throughout this state. Imagine walking into your favorite restaurant and not seeing shrimp, fish, or oysters on the menu. What about the people? The people won't be there either because the product is not there.
This master plan that CPRA has developed has been pushed down the throats of the folks that live in St. Bernard and Plaquemines. Both parishes have voted against this diversion. Both parishes understand the tragedy that's going to come out of this. When you're losing your fishery, second only to Alaska, we're going to lose that. When you look at the apex predator in the Gulf, in our Gulf, which is the dolphin, and you start losing that, you're going to lose an entire ecosystem.
I am a Papua Ishakshimaka. My name is Rosina Philippe, and I'm council elder here for the tribe. We are indigenous to this region. My people have been here for countless centuries. I don't think that it's going to be beneficial for the continuing inhabitation for my people here in this village. There's other life forms that live here with us that will either die or move out. So I don't believe that when they planning this project, our life way here in this village was a consideration at all.
As oystermen, we've been about coastal restoration, we're all about coastal restoration. But this diversion will be nothing but coastal destruction. You will be taking everything that our precious seafood industry needs to survive in its long stages and everything and wipe it out.
One of the biggest issues with CPRA is the power that they think they have. They think they supersede any
laws for the state of Louisiana and federal government. And they totally disregard any kind of power or any laws that we have locally. They are going to destroy our parish, and they don't care. We're collateral damage.
Thousands of people from their families will all be affected by it dramatically. They will lose a way of life, a livelihood they grew up in. This whole community would just disappear.
Well, there's an existential threat to the ecosystem. There'll be nothing left. I think there are studies that show that the dolphins will become extinct in the Mediterranean Bay 10 years after they're opened up.
The CPRA and the Corps, the environmental impact statement states they're going to raise water levels, they're going to cause flooding issues. How can you take money from the BP fines from Deepwater Horizon oil spill that was meant to make things right from the damage that was done from the BP oil spill to further damage the environment, the same environment that was damaged by BP? How is that possible? That is a question that needs to be answered.
Well, there's not much to say about it because we don't have the information. They've refused to give that to us. They don't have it. They haven't done the proper studies. They can't produce it. There's multiple and many different studies that need to be done for this project to move forward on the federal side.
CPRA already admits it's going to kill our brown trout, our speckled trout, our redfish, our oysters. They're already admitting the damage it's going to cause. Think about when they opened up the Bonnie Parish School in 2019. How long did the water flow for? The wildlife and the federal government admitted that the fresh water destroyed our fishing that year in May and June.
The problem with this project is it was all done by computer modeling. Okay? No one knows for sure. A project of this scale has never been done before.
I'm proud to say that I'm a third generation oyster farmer. And I'm proud to see a son in the business as well. And I have a grandson that should be fifth generation. I'm afraid that generation is going to end with my son at the fourth generation. And that saddens me deeply.
The state CPRA 50-year master plan, you will never see the land because it's all lives below the water. Our plan would be able to dredge and build in 5 years land you can walk on, land that will protect the communities that are along our coastline.
At 11 o'clock on a Friday night, they got a waiver marine report. Never been done before for a big project. Instead of studying what this diversion is going to do to our seafood and our fisheries, every mile of 5 years, after they spend $3 billion. What do you want to go up front of? What are we going to do? When I made that comment to the head of CPRA, I was told if we didn't study, we probably couldn't build it. Well, maybe we should. Louisiana deserves better. Louisiana deserves to take this money that was given to us to fix the coast after the BP oil spill and actually save the coast, not destroy the seafood industry. We deserve better.
After hearing about all the bad this diversion will cause, how can anyone think this is a good idea? We deserve better. To learn more about the damage this will cause, go to dirtywater.louisianaseafood.com.
I am not only the executive director of the Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board, but I'm also a restaurant owner. As a restaurant owner here in Louisiana, we strive to represent our culture and our cuisine. And I'm worried for the future of our fisheries and the possibility of not having that great seafood to serve to my customers. There are many new members here at this board, and I'm here to ask you, is this the only possible plan, or is this the right plan? This project states adverse impacts to oyster fisheries, shrimp industries, estuaries, and we need to take into consideration the human aspect. These people, their employees, this is their livelihood. A project this size will cause relocation and loss of jobs, and with that, the social aspects of these impacts, suicide rates, relocation, extreme poverty, drug use. There are a lot of great projects and plans in the work, but the diversion portion of this project can hopefully be one that we take another look at. And so now I would like to invite Shalon Delone. He's a past chairman and a member of our Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board to say a few things.
Good morning, thanks for having us here today. Again, my name is Shalon DeLong. I'm not only a board member of the Louisiana Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board, but my family's been in this industry for generations. We've made investments across the state, from Cameron Parish to St. Bernard Parish, millions of dollars worth of investments. There's not a single person in the seafood industry that I represent, or that my family does business with, that's in favor of this diversion. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Now, there's a lot of things that CPRA has done right, but the facts are that they've got this one wrong. You drastically undervalued the cost of this diversion, going from a couple of $100 million to now several billion, which poses the question, what else are you wrong about? This diversion's been over a decade in the making. Imagine the amount of land that could have been built with an alternative plan between now and then, instead of the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars that's been paid out to engineering and consulting firms. It's ludicrous to think that this project is the end-all, be-all solution. For me, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4 in this equation. For too long, we've been threatened, and this plan has been shoved down our throats. It's quite honestly borderline tyranny, but it's time to reevaluate if this is the best approach. I implore you to take another look at this project and do better. Thank you.
Thank you, and we have a question, a comment by Lieutenant Governor Billy Nunn.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We thank the board for allowing us to make this presentation. And I want to thank the brave men and women that are here to testify, because many people have been threatened across all industries. If you speak out, you won't get any money. If you speak out, you won't do work in Louisiana. It's criminal. How does this board not make public the things that we found out? The Marine Mammal Commission did a study because they were concerned. They asked me, is everyone in Louisiana crooked? Why would you build something that would destroy an industry? But they commissioned a study by the University of St. Andrews that shows dolphins will be extinct within 50 years. It will kill 50% in the first 5 years. Why is that important? If you ever heard the old saying, the canary in the coal mine, when the canary dies, get out, everything will die. Well, the dolphin's the smartest animal in the Gulf. When it dies, everything below will die. Do you know when we opened the spillway in 2019, we killed more dolphins than the BP oil spill? They won't tell you that. What are we doing? The Barham project that PJ Hall spoke about, Plaquemines Parish put years and invested with the Corps and partnered that berm is certified to lowest stones 5 feet. Then we went to Washington and got a letter from FEMA, recognized it as flood protection. So if we build berm ridges and islands and lower storm surge, we can lower insurance rates along the coast in our lifetime. In 50 years, we need a 50-year plan. 50 years, the Grand Isle fishing world will be right out here. I beg the governor and this board to reconsider. You know, when we exposed that they changed the law at 11 o'clock on Friday night, when nobody's paying attention, to get a waiver, they came back and said, well, we'll give the seafood industry, the shrimpers, $25 million. Go put refrigeration on your boats, go further out. My daddy was in the shrimp business. Anyone in the industry knows if you kill the shrimp in the basin, they mature and go offshore, there will be none. They'll need fuel tanks to go to Mexico. But they said, don't worry, we're going to give $25 million to rehabilitate dolphins. And some politicians will say, they'll swim away. They're territorial, they're not leaving, like you're not leaving your house. Throwing good money after bad. And I've had several politicians that have fallen on this sword. We've already spent $300 million. We can't stop it now, we'll have egg on our face. As a matter of fact, that's been said at meetings at the Corps, that people have leaked back to me. Would you rather have egg on your face wasting $300 million and waste another $2.7 billion? Everybody that represents the parish at this meeting should be outraged. That money could be spread along the coast and protect your people in our lifetime. But we're letting people get filthy rich off of this, and it's not going storm surge 1 inch. If this was going to destroy our fisheries, but save the coast, do it.
It will not lower storm surge 1 inch. As a matter of fact, the studies show in your package that it will raise the sea level against the back levee. You're going to give us the money to raise the levee in Plaquemines. And most recently, yesterday in the paper, it says 75% of marshlands will be gone by 2070 with sea rise. If that alone does not make you rethink this project and spend that money to save our coast in a lifetime, and somebody says, well, why we don't know this? Because people have been threatened. This is one chapter of the 13,000-page document. Read it. Irreversible damage to the sea pollution. How much damage? We don't know because they got a waiver to the Marine Mammal Act at 11 o'clock on Friday night, not to study the full impact to our industry. What are we doing? This is criminal. And as everybody always says in politics, follow the money. When it was started out, it was going to cost $250 million. You've already spent $300 million. And I'll bet anybody here, by the time it's over, it'll be over $4 billion. What could you do in your parish with that money? This is criminal. One last thing. The university, and we have folks here from Mississippi, because they're smart enough to sue to stop the one on their side of the river. Because they unify. Because they want what's best for Mississippi. There's a study about to come out from Mississippi State University. This is a map out of the study. For all you people from Terrebonne Parish, within 5 years, the currents will pull this polluted water. Quit calling it a freshwater diversion. Ain't nothing fresh. Second most polluted river in the country. Toxics. Within 5 years, it'll pull that water into the Terrebonne Basin and start destroying your seafood. So, I ask everyone to get involved and stop the insanity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor. Any other comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Jerome Duran, State Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At first, I was hesitant to even discuss or bring these things up because of the fact that the Lieutenant Governor keeps reasserting this fact, or what he says is the fact, that people are threatened and there were issues that CPRA undertook. I'd like to address those, especially in light of the fact that I don't know if anyone has had the opportunity to listen to the New Norman show on February 15th. You can go back and listen to the podcast. But during that show, the Lieutenant Governor made 3 accusations or assertions. Those being, one is $17 million of the budget was cut because he was threatened by speaking out that was a result of his budget being cut, which is a direct accusation on the legislature and on this board. The other was that the CCA was told not to support diversions, and if they would, their budgets would be cut. And they were going to get some retribution. The other was, and I think you just heard him reference it, that those who are making the decisions are making all the money. But Lieutenant Governor, I just wanted to ask, are you as confident in those accusations and assertions as you are in the science that you put?
Did you not tell me that if I didn't take that study done by senators off the seafood level, you would take their money away?
I didn't tell you that, but
you didn't tell me
what I said, and I'll get to the other points too.
Okay, you did not tell me that, and you write me a letter, and the day that I spoke out against it, on the Senate floor, $17 million disappeared out of my budget. And CCA was told by certain congressmen.
Okay, I'm not interrupting you. Please don't interrupt.
Okay, yes, you respond.
Well, I asked you if you believe in that science as much as you do in those accusations. So let me just correct those accusations you use. First off, you're talking about the budget. And as chairman of that committee, I'm a bit familiar how the budget was developed. And the only thing accurate about the statement is your $17 million was removed from your budget. But let me clarify why it was removed. $10 million was removed from a decrease in the Office of Tourism Year of Music marketing campaign. That was a grant that was no longer needed. So $10 million was taken out of that. Another $6 million was taken out by the administration, not by the legislature, the administration, for non-recurring legislative projects and various carry-forwards across the budget. And another $2 million was reduced. We made some prudent investments by the state by paying off the UAL, teachers' retirement. So that resulted in each department not having to provide as much money to the retirement system, which reduced your budget by $2 million. So yes, your budget was reduced by $17 million, but it had nothing to do with what you assuming or accusing people of threatening you to take your money away. The other is that I was also at a fundraiser yesterday and for a friend, and Mr. Cresswell was there. So I asked him, I said, Mr. Cresswell, did you happen to hear Lieutenant Governor on the new Norman show? He said, no, I didn't. I said, well, you need to go back and listen to it, because he basically said that CCA was threatened that if they take a position on the diversions to support the diversions, their money would be taken away. He said that's categorically false. He said that's not true. He said, what money would we be talking about? I said, I think he referred to the Reach to Rick program. He said that is not true. So that's another assertion that obviously is not based in fact. And finally, when you assert that those who are making decisions are getting all the money, I looked into that. I couldn't find that out, but if you please clarify those people who are making all the decisions and making money off of this, I'd love for you to clarify that as well.
Well, where's Johnny Bradbury work now?
What does Johnny Bradbury have to do with
Well, he went to work for one of the companies doing all this work.
All I'm saying is the decisions that you're making are not based in fact.
Well, and I got my 17 million back at the next general budget, so you can say where the money went and you can dress it up like you want. And you're right, there's several people here today to support our efforts that can't speak out as well. And so no one has been admitted because they do get money from the state, from the federal government. But personally, they have told me, listen, I have nothing to gain by this other than doing the right thing, Jerome. So it's hurt me politically and it's hurt my budget. I'm in charge of tourism, but I am over the seafood board. And I believe passionately. So let me ask you this, Jerome. If you want all the facts out there, when you were chairman, why didn't you share the study that's going to wipe out the dolphins? Or why don't you take the EIS that says it's irreversible damage to the seafood industry and tell that industry that we're going to be affected? Why did you spend millions telling everybody we got to save the coast, build a diversion?
When I was chairman, that study wasn't conducted. I'll be more than happy to defend it and defend this organization and entity that utilizes science and technology to make their decisions. And I will put that up against any of your science information that you.
So you still think that diversion is the best thing to spend $3 million on?
Yes, sir. Based upon what the science and engineering.
What's science?
I know we don't have the time right now, and I would like to belabor this, but I'd be more than happy at any time to sit and discuss your science and the science based from this agency any day.
And you sacrifice the seafood industry for a project that will not lower storm surge 1 inch.
I'm glad you brought that up. My background is also in fisheries biology. I'm a surgeon. I can assure you that this is not going to destroy the industry. Right now, do you know between Mardi Gras Pass and other breaches that currently exist within the system, it exceeds over 75,000 CFS. This diversion is going to be about 75,000 CFS. Right now, there's over that going through the Mississippi River into our estuaries right now, and we're not losing the sea.
Well, you go try to get an oyster on the East Bank of Florida. And let me tell you something else. When I was past president, we built a silt along the Bond River to keep saltwater at bay, and I know the Corps is going to study this, but I'll just go out on a limb and say this. As much as maybe a third of the river is flowing through Mardi Gras Pass, I believe, you want to know why saltwater is going all the way to New Orleans? Because that flow is not pushing it south. With this diversion, you better get ready, New Orleans, you will have salt water. You're taking more to flow out the river. Common sense tells you, you're not pushing it out, it's coming up. So that's why we have saltwater intrusion way upriver that we never had before, because y'all did not put the levee back when we pegged it to it, Mardi Gras Pass, to control the flow into the marsh.
Mardi Gras Pass is not the total problem. The fact is subsidence, land loss, sea level rise, and all of those are the factors that are causing the impacts to our coast. It's amazing that we're now fishing in places that we're catching crawfish and catfish. Why? Because of the loss of our coast. You're talking about that we're going to move dolphins out. They're only there because we've lost so much of the coast. So again, I don't want to take too much time of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to make a couple of comments. And Lieutenant Governor, with all due respect, I appreciate your passion, and I'd love to be able to discuss this in greater detail again any day and any time. I will debate and discuss the science from this agency against yours whenever you would like to do that, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you, Jerome, Zorian, for that. That's what we have debates for. That's, and with that, we got, Mr. God McGinnis with the Brimstone Basin, past president of, St. Bernard Parish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello. Is this on? Yeah. Okay, so, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your public service and taking this position. Your first meeting. Here we go. All right. And Glenn, wherever you are, thank you for what you're doing and the service of the prior administration. And thank you for your passion and what you do at CPRA. I used to say 98% of what we do here is great. And it's something that we're going to, 100 years from now, look back on, and it saved lives. But I was always looking at that 2% because in my community, that 2% is one of these diversions. Well, today it's 4%. So I don't know what it's going to wind up being. But it's getting more and more every day. And when I look at these arguments and I see people discuss whether this is right or wrong, because everybody that sits here today, and so people who are not, and I won't be here after today, by the way, Mr. Chairman, I'll be replaced, so I guess I need to say this, all this chatter going on, people in these parishes ought to mean something. I go to these forums, and it's all of these people that have nothing to do with my parish. Nothing. And they talk about how it affects things in Chiffunka River and on the North Shore from the Mississippi River Gulf Island. The $3.5 billion mitigation plan, the Mystico Ecosystem Restoration Plan, and we just had a fight for 8 years in court to get the court to understand that that's a 100% project because it's a mitigation plan. That's the St. Bernard Parish. Why? Why do we have $3.5 billion of mitigation? Because of what the Mystico did to our parish. If there was a board 70 years ago when they decided to build that channel, what would they have done? If they know what they know today. And the people of St. Bernard Parish was telling them, it's just what was going on here. The way it was explained to me, the same stuff. What happened? Now they want to close it. Well, they closed this. Not because it was the right thing to do for 7 years. It was because of what it did. It destroyed communities. We're coming back. Thank you. Thank you, CPRA, for everything that you're doing to help us come back. None of us are going to be here. I'm looking for a baby in crowd just to make sure I'm right. None of us are going to be here to see whether or not what we do today is right or wrong. So when you sit here for that 2 or 4% of the budget that we in the state are working on, and you think about the few that have to sacrifice for the whole, think about the few and what might happen 50, 60, 70 years from now because of these projects. When you put a project out there, the very first thing they tell you is that they have a $300 million mitigation plan, and that's where they're going to start. Something ought to go off in your head. You control it. Everyone sitting at this table controls it. Our government controls all of us sitting here. It's a huge thing for my parish, the Key Tinkers parish, and for our people. You want to save the state. I get it. We'll help you. We can't take a grain of sand a couple of miles over a levee in 2023? And we talk about the science. Well, the science is based on mimicking a river that built Louisiana. What river? Today's river? With the levees? Or thousands of years ago? We don't have that same river. You can't mimic that with two diversions. And Z said it, 35,000 CFS. You can't mimic that and rebuild Louisiana. You need to be smarter than that. And you need to think about the people. Mardi Gras Pass, I'm glad you brought that up. Mardi Gras Pass. It was 6 foot wide, 6 foot deep. Now it's taking, Lord knows the percentage of the river. Not enough to fix it because of the navigation within the levees that the Corps can handle, like they're doing with Neptune, if you're familiar. Mardi Gras Pass killed a $400 million industry in Plaquemines County. Go to the boat launch, back up to the boat launch in Plaquemines. It's sad. It's a cemetery. The bayous are filling up, right? You can't navigate a bayou or a bay in Plaquemines Parish right now because of Mardi Gras Pass. Some will say, well, that's the southern end of the river. No, it's not. 6 feet wide, 6 feet deep. Today, it's 300 foot wide, 8 foot deep. Mr. Chairman, now it's going to be $80 to $90 million to fix, when they could fix it to nothing. But we have people who don't live in that area who think it's great. Open the levees, let it flow. It's good for the environment. I don't know. $100 million industry. Zero. And it's going to spread. You think Mardi Gras Pass is going to stay, what I said, 300 feet wide, 8 foot deep? No. Sooner or later, of course, we're going to have to fix it. Because what? It's going to affect the navigational aspects of the river. We have to be smart. I'm not saying that diversions, not right. I don't think. What's going to happen to your grandchildren and their children 70, 80 years from now? And is this going to be the right decision? That's all I'm saying. Listen to the people in that basin on each side of the river. They know a whole lot more than you give them credit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Guy, and then thank you for your services. I've served with you, and it's been a pleasure. Any more questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Dwayne, who's like that on basin?
Yeah. So I probably could keep my mouth shut, but I can't. So the one thing that I want to say about this, Billy, and it's really more towards you in the presentation. The diversions, those things outside of my wheelhouse. I'm the levee guy, right? So I listened to how the guy described what it was and what the situation was. The thing that I take issue with in this whole discussion is how many times you said this is criminal. Okay, this is criminal, and you basically are accusing the hardworking people at CPRA who worked on this based off of the information they had. They put it forward. Then you're also saying that this board took actions that was criminal, and I have a problem with the idea that it's criminal because just like the guy said everything without accusing anybody of doing any criminal activities. I think that it's unfair to say that it's criminal. If it is criminal, if there's a criminal out there that did something, go after them, right? But I think that this is unfair to the hardworking people of CPRA who basically just put forward what they think based off of their information is there. I think that everybody in Plaquemines Parish, and St. Bernard, and everywhere else who thinks, hey, this is still a problem, yeah, it should be addressed at some point, and then you can talk in terms of, this is a hole in the river levee that you can control the amount of water goes into. So you always have a way to manage everything downstream. I just don't think the idea that it's criminal, I don't see any evidence from what the CPRA board did or the CPRA authority did in their studies that is criminal. If there is something criminal.
So I apologize.
All I gotta say.
For using that tone, but using the word criminal, I probably shouldn't use it. But it's not right that they didn't make the facts available to the public. The study out of Washington, all the studies that show it's going to destroy the seafood industry. This board and has an obligation, like he just said, to put all the data out there and let the public weigh in. Don't hold public meetings and tell them without giving them all the information. And so when you look at the negative and you look at the positive, you can't build land above the waterline. It's the word, and I apologize to the board for saying that. But how can you not be honest with the public when you're talking about people's livelihoods? And you saw Mr. President tear up because that's the people who are going to suffer. And CPRA, when it was first formed, I remember, we're going to work with local government to help them restore their coast. Well, Parkland and St. Bernard voted 100%. We don't want it. Get a dredge and build land in our lifetime. So I apologize to you on the board, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, and I'd like to add this in. I took office February the 1st, so all it started before I was here. But on day number two, we're putting together a comprehensive total report of all aspects. As you know, this is in the 25th JDC at Plaquemines. It's been to the 4th Circuit Court of Appeal. It's in the 19th JDC in Baton Rouge, and they have a case in federal court. So we're going to comprise an entire report of everything, including financial, engineering, construction, any aspect of this, and it presented to General Counsel and the Governor Landry so he can make sure he has all the facts, figures, and what have you. And we've actually been working on this for 21 days since I took office. So we are looking into it, and we will have a total report, but me just taking office, I wasn't here for everything, but it started quite some years back. And I think it did start at $750 million, and it's up to $2.9 billion, and we're going to go over every aspect of that, and I will report back to the board on what we find. And of course, the governor will get a full report, and he'll look at, and along with any other departments that's involved, and of course his administration. So we are working on this. I want to let everyone know we're putting together a report as we speak. Thank you. Okay, no other comments. We have the Conservation and Restoration Partnership Fund, and then we'll do a federal update, and then we'll have a public comment. So the Conservation Restoration Partnership Fund, Brandon Champagne with CPRA.
Hear me? Good morning, everyone. My name is Brandon Champagne with CPRA. I'll be giving an update on the Conservation and Restoration Partnership Fund. I'll be giving an update on the program itself, as well as announcing some of the awards. Our original intent was to announce these at the January board meeting, but as you know, that was canceled due to weather. And since then, we've actually already announced these awards to the public, so that kind of takes away from the shock value a little bit today. But I thought it was still important to actually give an in-depth look at some of these projects and some of the progress we're going to make. Also wanted to mention, this is a task that's usually done by Ken Bullpress, usually the one doing this presentation. I'm here today. I've been doing some of the day-to-day operations for the partnership fund, so I thought it'd be a good idea to take a crack at it. So without further ado, so first I'll just be giving an introduction into the program, and then giving a brief update on some of the projects and implementation we've been able to do recently. And then lastly, I'll actually announce those awards and those projects. So first, so since 2008, CPRA has contributed over $13 million in funding to 23 non-federal partners and their projects through the Partnership Fund program. This is a program that is funded by state surplus dollars. And it's also important to note this is a reimbursement-based program. So essentially our partners are getting this funding, our partners are doing the work in the front end and we're, CPRA is reimbursing in the back end. So I think it's a really good fiscally responsible way to actually implement this program. In addition to the $13 million, there's been over $23 million that's been provided as a match by our partners. And this leverages a total restoration contribution of nearly $37 million. And I think that's a really key part of the program as well, because we can actually stretch the money that we get to do this work, and we can actually accomplish a lot more than what we could do simply with the money that we have in the program. And lastly, I wanted to mention the Partnership Fund is a really good opportunity to collaborate on projects with our partners. They're doing a lot of great work across the coast, and we see it as a really great way to address some of the local needs to do restoration and protection work. So typically I have a slide with all of the logos of all of our great partners, and we actually have kind of a good problem here today. There's just simply too many partners to actually put up onto one slide, so I kind of summarized it here. So in the life of the program, we've worked with 9 nonprofits and NGOs, 4 parish governments, 4 private companies, 2 land trusts, as well as a levy district, a city, a university, and the United Illumination. So just to summarize the program by the numbers and what we've accomplished so far, we've been able to construct 320,000 linear feet of earthen terraces, 6 miles of shoreline protection protected by oyster reefs, 127 acres of marsh creation, 94 acres of recreational and educational parks, over 650 acres of green space that's been reforested and revegetated, hydrological improvements made across the coast to bodies and water control structures. And lastly, I thought it was really interesting that there's been thousands of volunteers that have helped us implement this work. And they've contributed over 22,000 hours to do this great work. And I think that's great, not only to actually get the work on the ground, but it's really great to see volunteers and locals engaged in doing this work. And it's really a great investment to see for our future of the coast, I think. So this is a map that shows all of the awards that we've, all of the projects that we've been able to partner on. There's about 50 projects total since 2008 that we've been able to partner on. It spans 10 parishes across the coast. I'll be talking about a couple projects recently we've been able to do. First one is in St. Tammany Parish, and it's the Goose Point Marsh Restoration Project. We've been able to do this with Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana, and they identified a problem. So after Hurricane Ida, there was a breach at Goose Point that threatened further inundation from Lake Pontchartrain. So the idea that they had was using recycled glass basically in sand burlap sacks to reestablish that shoreline. You can see the volunteers doing that in the top right. In addition to that, they actually planted bulrush behind that too to further stabilize that shoreline. I wanted to thank the volunteers that did this work because it wouldn't happen without them, so thank you for that. The second project I'll be highlighting is the Fort Fourchon Terracing Project. Fort Fourchon Terracing and Living Shoreline Project. That's in Lafourche Parish. It is currently under construction by Ducks Unlimited. You can see here, clearly there's been a lot of marsh loss in the area, and that's left some of the infrastructure vulnerable, specifically the old highway water as well as Fort Fourchon itself. And so the idea here is to construct additional terraces in the area to further stabilize that infrastructure. And in addition to that, we can see that the terraces are actually protecting and slowing down wave action for that existing marsh that's there. So that's going to enhance about 150 acres of existing marsh in the area as well. So without further ado, I'll get into the awards for this funding cycle. Just a brief summary. So CPRA is providing $1 million in matching funds for projects aimed at coastal conservation and restoration across the coast. And again, kind of the foundation of this program is using that funding as leverage for the matching dollars provided by these partners. So a little bit just on the process we used here. The RFP was announced in June of last year. We received 15 proposals by a total of 13 organizations. I think it's really cool to note that of those 13 organizations, 6 were new applicants. So we're seeing actually new interest in the program, which I think is really interesting and a really great thing to see. So with these proposals, we had an evaluation team. I definitely want to thank Kent Bolfras, Jessica Converse, Wes LeBlanc, and Brian Zena for their help in evaluating these. We evaluated based on criteria such as furthering the goals of the master plan, the size and acreage of the conservation and restoration, synergy with other efforts in the area, constructability, and lastly, matching funds. So we took all this into account and evaluated these, notified preliminary notifications for the partners in December, and now we're actually in the implementation phase. So we'll be implementing these projects and starting projects now. And so these are the actual awards. I'll just be going through each of the awards by partners. So the first partner, Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana, with their Lake Boudreaux Marsh Restoration Project. They'll be conducting vegetative plantings on constructed terraces in Terrebonne Parish to stabilize them and increase their resilience to storm surge energy. The second partner we're working with is Ducks Unlimited. Their 2 projects are the 40 Parkman Canal Wetlands Enhancement and the Port Fouchon Terracing, which is the second phase of that project we saw earlier. That will create over 10,000 linear feet of additional terraces in Lafourche and St. Bernard parishes. These will reduce erosion, promote fish and wildlife, and provide community resilience benefits. The third partner we're partnering with this go around is Pontchartrain Conservancy with their Bucktown Marina Habitat Restoration Project. They'll be creating 12 acres of diverse habitat in Orleans Parish through vegetative plantings to support flood protection and provide critical wildlife habitat. Next is Restore Retreat. They, in their West Cutoff Levee and West Grand Terre shoreline stabilization, they'll be planting over 3 miles of vegetation to fortify levees in Lafourche Parish around Cutoff and stabilize part of West Grand Terre Island. Next is the Nature Conservancy, which will be constructing approximately 1.5 miles of oyster reefs in Cameron Parish to improve the habitat there, reduce risk to adjacent communities and that infrastructure. Last but not least is Tulane University in partnership with Free Coast, Common Ground Relief, CRCL, and CSED. They'll be using recycled glass to to reinforce a deteriorating canal in Lafourche Parish and vegetate some of the bank there. And so as you can see, the total here is $1 million in the program, and it actually will be receiving a match from these partners of over $6 million. So you can really see how we can stretch and really provide funding to where to really implement projects on the ground, and I think that's a really key part of the program. You can see a map here of some of the projects. In blue, you'll see the locations of the projects that we're funding in this award cycle, and it encompasses 6 different parishes along the coast. I think one of the big takeaways from this particular funding cycle, and that's something I wanted to highlight, was really just the diversity of habitats that we'll be able to support. Vegetative plantings, of course, but not only on terraces and levees, but also enhancing habitats such as marsh, swamp, coastal forests, as well as barrier islands. I think the barrier island restoration, I think that's a first for the program, so we're really excited to see some of the work that we'll be able to do there. I'm really excited to really work on all these different types of habitat, and as y'all know, coastal habitats, they're all important, and we really need to make sure we're protecting all of them. In addition to those vegetative plantings, we'll also be doing over 10,000 linear feet of terraces, and also constructing 1.5 miles of oyster reef. You can actually see a picture there of part of the reef that will be extending in West Coast in Cameron Parish. So that's about it. You can see the contact information there. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at partnershipfund@la.gov or the phone numbers provided there. And that's about it.
Any questions? Thank you, Brandon, for that great report. Thank you very much. And now the federal update by Neil McMillan with DENR. Mr. McMillan.
Thank you, Chair. Great to speak before the board. We've had a lot happen since last October, the last federal update we gave. So look forward to this discussion. Can you hear me back here? Excellent. All right. 1 week after we presented, as you all know by now, we had Speaker Mike Johnson elected to the House of Representatives. And this is just a tremendous opportunity for the state, and we're definitely learning through his first 100 and some days how this is going, but I just had to mention this was a possibility in our presentation, and wish I could say we had some way to make that happen. But anyway, he's a true coast champion, has met with us many times on all coastal issues, and a great member of the delegation, and what a great spot. Second from the presidency. And we've seen in the past few months how difficult a job he has, and it's gotten even tougher than when he started. There's been some retirements, they've expelled a controversial member. And so essentially, if he wants to do something that, on the party line, he has to have all but two, and then if otherwise it can be bipartisan, and that sometimes brings its own consequences of maintaining support of the caucus, but there's some sharp divides. But he's given it a great go. He's kind of had 3 major topics that he's been working on. The border and foreign policy have been really dominant. But for us, what matters is the appropriations discussion, and that's still very important and ongoing right now. And so right now we have a partial government shutdown on March 1st and a full one on March 8th if nothing changes. There's a lot of pressure to do this because there could be a 1% cut across the board if we do not pass that. And if we don't pass an appropriations bill, a lot of the earmarks that we've been tracking, such projects like Organs into the Gulf, and some directly to CPRA, and a few others, would not come through. I was calling some staff this morning to see, what's the temperature? Do we think we're going to do it this time by March, or are we going to do it for a full year? And the sense is that the text of the agreement's kind of ready to go if the leaders give the thumbs up. So it's, I guess it's a political will thing, so we'll just have to keep monitoring. It's very tough. I would say from Speaker Johnson's point of view, there's some folks who don't want to see it happen, and there's many that do, so remains to be seen. But at the same time, we just got notice yesterday from Senator Kennedy's office that, hey, even though we haven't passed this year's approach, you need to tell us what you need for next year, because they're probably going to give us a week to tell us down the road. They're going to squeeze us. So if you have appropriations requests, even if it's kind of dependent on what's currently pending here, you probably need to go ahead and start the conversation, because we don't want to miss the boat. And so that's, I guess, my word of encouragement. Maybe come up with a plan, assuming you get something good, or even if you got something new. So we'll work with CPRA to get it rolling. Next slide. Let's see. Is that the right? Okay, great. Okay, so we got 2 hearings I want to discuss with y'all today that have happened since last spoke. And one happened right after Thanksgiving in the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. It was focused on a very technical topic that's actually something this board is really one of the absolute leaders in the nation on, and it is working with project partnership agreements with the Army Corps. And so this part of the stage is when you get Congress to give you permission to do a study or a project, you get Congress to give you money to do the project, and then you as an on-fellow sponsor have to come to terms with how you execute the project. And that's that can be a really difficult thing, especially for some of the types of projects we do. in the ecosystem restoration side. And so, I guess we were a featured witness, and so I got the next slide on that, but I'll just mention a few issues that other folks mentioned first. It's hard to commit to doing a cost share when you know that if the cost overruns with the economy or construction, that you have to, rise your cost share too. So it's a uncertain commitment on funding. There's a difficulty in getting credit for donations. So let's say you had a nonprofit partner and they brought in some lands that they could donate to the project. Well, the Corps might not give you money because that was a donation, even though that land has value. And that's stymies a lot of partnerships, and we know we can't save Coastal Louisiana without partnerships. So that was interesting. And then the Upper Mississippi River Basin Association showed that a lot of the requirements in these agreements conflict with state and local law. Not ideal. We need to make some adjustments to assume there's some synergy. And then also, especially for environmental projects, the Corps requires in perpetuity O&M on this. So if you build an ecosystem project, it's got a 40-year lifespan, well, they want you to take care of it for centuries. What does that look like with changing conditions? That's a bit much. So there were some reforms mentioned by those things, and I would say that we, at CPRA, endorsed a lot of those concepts and thought they would be good to work on, because we've certainly experienced it. CPRA, as I said, was invited to testify, and former Chairman Brent Haas testified very well, because we have tremendous experience signing these things. We've signed since 2007 40 project partnership agreements, feasibility cost agreements, design, MOU, MOAs, and the rest of the witnesses had not done that. But we had 40 in our experience. And we both had times that we had poor negotiate, or we had to accept things we didn't want to accept. Sometimes we've had positive change. And so Congress was really curious how we did that. And then so we had a lot of advice too from this experience. We need to activate flexibilities that the Corps has. A lot of times the Corps can do something, doesn't mean they will. And our positive solution, so this wasn't just a complaining about the state of life of Corps, was that we need district commanders to be empowered, because they're the ones, meeting with us at the board, really understand our projects. We can empower them. I think a lot of these things that are localized problems can be worked through. We also talked about how PBAs need to let us address deficiencies with federal efforts. This partnership should be kind of fair. We need more transparency so we can meet the cost. We need land rights that fit the territory. We need to get credit for everything we do. And I think it was really well received, and we'll see how much that can be turned into word results. But it's really exciting that when the committee's like, we need a non-federal sponsor to tell us the truth and how it is and how to do better, they come to CPRA. So I was glad Brandon could do such a great job on that topic, even though we planned that testimony over Thanksgiving break. And that was very thankful, I guess, for that. And so speaking of Vote 2024, that was kind of the thematic topic. And CPRA developed requests. This happens every 2 years. This is the bill that tells the Army Corps what policy they should do. And instead of reading you kind of the details, I just want to tell you the themes of what we're asking for, which I think is something the board supported. So we need flexibility to use, make sure all the funding we're bringing back to Coastal Louisiana is credited, because when cost overruns, we got to make that up. And that's something we're experiencing. We need disaster aid to go to our best projects, the projects we really identified as the top priorities. That's sometimes not always the case. We got to plan the next big projects in the future that we can study for the next almost decade, and then look forward. We've got to start building ones we've been planning for years. We need, for our major projects, we need to be able to start on them, start getting progress, even if all the review and I's and T's aren't dotted, because positive progress can reduce risk, and many times Congress has already endorsed the whole concept. And then we also need to have more non-federal sponsor involvement. There are things we do extremely well, and even if it's kind of hard to relinquish some control, let's pursue that. We need to make sure that the Hisers payback, which we had quite a saga with, and we think we've gotten a great place, but we need to just really lock that in. If there's ways we can secure that even more, let's do it. We need to find synergies between multiple projects. Let's not leave a gap when we could do a little more effort and connect them. To keep things that are going well, ongoing into the future with change. And we need credit for what we do. And then we need state efforts like the Watershed Initiative to match with what the federal side's doing. So let's align those efforts. And so that's about 10 requests. Most of the delegations received it, been very positive. Hopefully we'll start having some hearings in spring where we can advocate for those to the finish line. So turning to energy and funding, January 11th, we had a great House hearing for GOMESA, really one of the strongest ones when it comes to the benefits of GOMESA we've had in a long time. And I've got some quotes that y'all can see, and the takeaway is that I guess the House Republican leadership in this committee in particular really, when they're selling the benefits of offshore leasing, and this here was in the context of reduced leasing for the next 5-year plan. They point to coastal restoration, wildlife habitat enhancement, public access. Those are the first reasons they give in addition to the jobs. So it's the projects we're delivering, they recognize nationwide, and it's really seen as a win-win. So that's pretty good to see from the leadership side that this is good because of these reasons. Because often in the past I've understood that people think maybe we shouldn't be spending as much money in coastal Louisiana, coastal Gulf of Mexico. So that was really notable from the leadership side. And then two is this bottom quote, I think really should motivate us in our advocacy efforts for legislative change, is BOEM, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, says for the foreseeable future, GOMESA revenue sharing is going to be fully funded. And we've been talking about it for a long time, is that more production has come online. Prices are high, that means our cap's being hit. And we think we deserve no cap, we think we deserve a high percentage. But that's going to be the line we're going to hear is, y'all are fully funded, what do you need to worry about? And I think that just underscores the urgency we have here. And it seems that the cap was hit last year. So I found that very motivating, even though that was shared as like a good thing. So we had some good, other states kind of were speaking our language, which was great to see. So it wasn't just Louisiana. But if y'all know Mr. Havens and Mr. Blankenship from Texas or Alabama, give them a text. They did a great job. Commissioner Blankenship talked about how GOMESA projects help needy communities. I think that's really important, given the conversation in DC. And he also pushed really hard on, let's get rid of the cap. And that was just awesome to see so clearly and aligns with multiple legislative efforts. And Texas GLO was like, hey, this is the funding we use to protect our best environmental asset in Texas, which was our coastline. And, I guess they're in the context of less leasing is less revenue to help out, but just that precise advocacy on the cap lift and just reminding people that this is an environmental program, that's great synergy with what we're doing. So lastly, I guess for the new members of the board and the audience, there's been kind of two legislative efforts to help increase revenue sharing, which is fundamental for our the future of our coastal program. One is the BREEZE Act, led by Majority Leader Scalise. It passed in H.R. 1, the Lower Energy Costs Act, of the House twice. So with complete Republican support and a few Democrat support. So that's historic. That's a great bill. And then we have two kind of precise bills, one in the House, one in the Senate, the RISE Act, that removes the cap and kind of brings wind revenue sharing into revenue sharing. And we've had some a good bit of additions, especially in the House since we last spoke. And it's hard to see, but I've bolded three names. Senator Peters of Michigan, Representative Himes of Connecticut, Representative Schulten of Michigan. Those were people, the Shores Coalition, that many of you are part of, met in DC on the last fly-in. And you probably didn't think meeting with a Michigan representative or senator would result in anything. You probably thought we found someone who agreed with you. But look, that paid off. And so there's a lot more we can do. And I know talking to Glenn and Chairman Dove that we want to keep that activity going, and look forward to sharing more information about how we can participate and continue to build that support for our efforts. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to address any questions, and thank you for the time.
Any questions, comments? Yeah, Dwayne Boozman, Chair on base.
I guess I'm gonna run the table. Just great presentation, and I see that you're doing it with a new logo up there, and so I appreciate it. Chairman, I asked that, Neil, even though he's, doing it with a new logo, continue to give these presentations, and, because I think they're very, very, very pertinent to all of the things we do all year long, and hopefully, maybe to Neil's chagrin, I'd ask him to continue to, bad cleanup in these meetings and continue to give us some good updates and following things along.
Sure.
Clarification, not my chagrin. Very much an honor. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil, for that great update. Thank you. Okay. With that being done, public comment, Keith Hink. We put these in order of the people that has it gave it to us. Keith Hinckley, 112 Liberty Street, Belle Chase. Mr. Hinckley. President.
Keith Hinckley, Blackman's Parish President. I'm going to bring us to the human factor of the diversion and where we are today. Sometimes mid-year last year, our chief building officer was in a seminar up in Dallas, and FEMA approached him and asked him if we had seen the base flood elevations that the diversion will cause to Blackman's Parish. And up to that point, we didn't see anything. We still haven't really seen a whole lot. As you saw earlier, we've asked for a lot of different studies and just a lot of information and yet to get it. So what FEMA told him, this is a potential of raising our base flood elevations in Blackman's Parish to a foot and a half, maybe even more. So what happens now is that will have the potential, it will raise our flood insurance. And FEMA even said it could, at one point, it might even disqualify us. When you're in these closed room conversations with FEMA, they'll divulge a lot of information to us. Chairman Dove mentioned a lawsuit, a litany of courts that we're in. That's got nothing to do with the Mammal Act, the oysters. There's another lawsuit that's in federal government right now that deals with that. Where we are in our lawsuits as Blackman's Parish government, it's dealing with these FEMA flood elevations and the flood maps. Now, as a Blackman's Parish government, we signed on with the AG's office last year to fight FEMA 2.0. So now here on one side, we're fighting for our insurance rates. Here's Secretary Temple this morning. And now, here we are on the other side fighting the state because our insurance rates will go up. So with that being said, I would ask this board to please come down to Blackman's Parish. Not to put a golden shovel in your hand, but to come down, let's pull these plans out. Let's look at the design of this diversion. Let's take a look at that pod, that polder that we're creating, and you will see how this will affect the flood elevations in our parish. They're talking about a siphon underneath this diversion. If this diversion is 300 feet, it's going down 35 feet, going over 300 feet or however wide this diversion is, and now it's coming back. And they expect this water to come inside this polder and be siphoned up underneath this diversion. It's almost impossible. We've got the largest construction project going on in the world right now, just south of this project. And The federal government is spending millions on our levees to protect this highway. So we really need to come together. I heard a common word this morning, partnership, partnership, partnership. Well, that was partnership between CPRA and the Corps, the state, and the federal government. Well, look, let's form a partnership with our local parishes, the state, and the federal government. Let's get together on this. Please, I implore you, let's work together. We're in a lawsuit right now with CPRA. I hate the court system. We should be able to sit down together and come to common terms. We're not saying shut the project down completely, but there is a better way to do this. And there are better ways to get a project that we can see the benefits of it today. But it's a project that will benefit today, but it will also benefit us 50 to 100 years from now. And I guarantee you, any elected official in this room, from Mississippi to the coast of Louisiana, I guarantee you, you would not sit idle and let this happen in your parish or your county. So thank you for your time.
Any comments? Thank you, Mr. Hinckley. Next, Ms. Jerson. Okay, sorry about that. Seafood Promotion Board.
Mr. Chairman, gentlemen and ladies of the board, I appreciate this opportunity to speak. My name is Mitch Jursich. I'm chairman of Louisiana Oyster Task Force, been there for many years. Also represent Plaquemines Parish as a commissioner from District 8. But I am one of those faces that you saw up here today. A third generation oyster farmer. Grandparents started our business in 1904, mainly on the west bank of Plaquemines Parish, but we're statewide. This is an industry we're very proud of. We grew up, we watched the marshland deteriorate around us. We watched things happen, but we always able to evolve because it was a slow process. We did survive, and we're still surviving today. And, you know, our problem, we do want coastal restoration. And my family is a big steward of coastal restoration. Mr. McGinnis can tell you the oyster farmers throughout our St. Bernard and Plaquemines Parish spend millions of dollars every year building these water bottoms, raising the bottom, creating habitat, not only for oysters, but for every other marine organism that lives out there. And I've been watching this, I've been fighting this diversion since its inception, because we know. I heard earlier, you know, based on science, based on science, based on science. Well, this science was developed in a college, in a room, men in suits. This is my science. This body is my science. I grew up I have webbed toes from running through the marsh. I am a product of the best scientists you will ever see about our coast, not just in oysters, but about the coast itself and all its fisheries. What you see on paper, what you see on a graph, that's nothing. You gotta actually visualize it, you gotta see it, you gotta watch it happen before your eyes. And as our president said, this is not in a lot of parishes. Plaquemines Parish is the guinea pig for this largest project for CPRA. Why Plaquemines Parish? Why pick us? We're a very productive parish. I think you heard Mr. McGinnis say. $400 million worth of seafood industry for the industry lost on the east bank of Plaquemines Parish. That could be doubled on the west bank. It's not only going to affect Plaquemines, because believe me, this thing is shooting straight to Jefferson, straight to Lafourche. Y'all in the bullseye. Grand Isle is in the bullseye. I'm asking, it's not too late to slow down, put the brakes on a little bit. I'm not saying I wouldn't accept a diversion to help out, but I think you need to incorporate much more dredging, much more land building we can see today, much more hurricane protection we can have in the next 5 years with a much smaller scale diversion and nourish that. And then we can still create this living coast we have today. Because right now I've seen many, many projects, and that's what I want to say. CPRA has done wonders, great things for our state. I've seen these projects, I live around these projects. It is a terrific job what CPRA does in our state. But when you have that one project that takes away, makes us have to fight the very agency that's protecting us. Because we're fighting for our livelihoods, we're fighting for our, our communities. So what I ask, and I don't think it's unreasonable, that we slow down and we look. Let's re-explore this project and look. Build by dredging, nurture it with a smaller smaller diversion. And I think we've come to that common ground. Save our community, save our coast, keep a living coast, where all our seafood, all our recreational, commercial, everything can survive. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Gerald Blessing, and I might add that there's according to the rules of the board, it's 3 minutes, so please, close the job and keep to that, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members. I'm Gerald Blessing. I'm the council and manager for the Mississippi Sound Coalition, former mayor of Biloxi. The Sound Coalition is a combination of the city and county governments, commercial fisheries, and the tourism industry on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. In the 2019 Bonnie Terry opening, as you probably know, killed all of the natural oyster reefs in the western Mississippi Sound. They're still dead. It killed 10% of our dolphin population, and it created, because it was the longest, it went all into the summertime, an algae bloom that ended up closing our waters and our beaches, and so it killed our tourism season. So we're going to participate very actively in the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Management Study, and we invite you in the Corps to join us in looking for win-win solutions to the management of the Mississippi River. By that I mean, of course, flood protection, coastal restoration, and in protecting the environment, including the Mississippi Sound, because we're directly affected. I do want to comment, Mr. Chairman, briefly that the Mid-Breton diversion concerns us just as it does Plaquemines Parish. We do have science from the Northern Gulf Institute, that's Mississippi State and University of Southern Mississippi, that shows that the Mid-Breton diversion will ultimately have the same kind of devastating and long-term permanent impact on the Mississippi Sound. It's peer-reviewed science. Change the salinity forever. And once it becomes changed, as you know, if you go below 5 parts per thousand, salinity kills the oysters, they're not coming back. So my point is that we really want to see win-win solutions. We are very concerned about, of course, the Bonnie Terry and the Mid-Breton, but we think the whole Lower Mississippi River, the whole concept must be rethought. Surely we can find in this great country of ours the best minds in America to figure out how to do these win-win solutions. And we offer our hand in friendship to try to do that in Mississippi and Louisiana together.
Thank you, Mr. Blessing, and Doug Daig with Louisiana Hypoxia Working Group.
Hi, thank you. I'm Doug Daigle. I'm the coordinator of the Louisiana Hypoxia Working Group, which is it's a monthly forum. It's met since 2003, and the purpose is to promote and support the Gulf Hypoxia Action Plan. And Louisiana is a participant in that plan, along with 11 states upriver. It's a cooperative effort that's focused on voluntary, cost-effective actions. And our state plays a number of critical roles in the effort. One of them is that the annual Gulf Hypoxia mapping cruise that's conducted by LSU and the Louisiana University's Marine Consortium down in Cocodrie provides a long-term database that shows us the trend in the Gulf for this low oxygen problem that the action plan is trying to address. And then the state, of course, is a participant on the Hypoxia Task Force, which is those upriver states, federal agencies, land-grant universities, and stakeholders. The Governor's Office of Coastal Activities is the official member for the state on the task force. And it's important to mention, too, that in terms of the on-the-ground conservation work that's being done here, to help us do our part to reduce the nutrient load that causes the hypoxic zone in the Gulf. Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, the Office of Soil and Water Conservation, is playing a really critical role working with the Farm Bill programs and conservation districts and the local farmers to help us do our part here. So I look forward to talking with you further in the future, and thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Daigle. What is this, Sarah Barish?
How about your own Pharisee?
You got it. You better say that name again.
Good morning, I'm George Barisic, I'm a 68-year-old.
I don't know if I can't read or you can't write.
Too many days to be twice around, I participate in wild harvest, shrimp harvest, and oyster harvest and farming. Over 2 decades ago, I had the monumental task of representing the commercial fishing industry on the predecessor to the CPRA board. While serving on the board, I consistently challenged the wisdom of expanding any freshwater diversion in St. Bernard, given all the negative impacts that occurred by simply running the Canarvin diversion at over 8,000 CFS. This is 20-some years ago now. Okay. At that time, before my 3 years were up, and I was informed that I would be asked to continue serving, but without voting rights. Isn't that a sad commentary on what they call transparency and cooperation with all the stakeholders? That was an insult. At that time, before I was booted, I requested the board entertain setting aside some funding to compensate the commercial fishermen, shrimp, crabs, fish, and oysters, for the losses they would inevitably occur with large-scale diversion. Chairman Milling at the time and the board agreed to support a compensation program. My question today is, did we, or the board, y'all ever get past the word compensation? That's all I've ever heard. No money, no programs, no. What are you going to do with us? Or y'all plan on using my boats for shoreline stabilization? Because they're going to be worthless. They're going to be worthless. And a set aside for $25 million, what I heard today, that's a freaking insult. BP tried to do that. BP tried to give us $25,000 per person. That was a joke. The question remains, is fair and just compensation part of the 2025 master plan? I haven't seen it in the last 20-something years. For the rest of my 2 minutes here, I want to address the real-life, real-time effects of misplaced, polluted Mississippi River water. With the increase of flow from Mardi Gras Pass, as well as the influx from Canarvin, we oyster fishermen have lost the productive capabilities of 24,000 acres of state ground. For decades, it was the most prolific oyster estuary in the country. Before the freshwater influx, we had a state ground oyster season that would run from September 2nd to April 31st for 40 years. Never had anything, no problems until they started running water. Now we don't even have a season that lasts longer than 2 weeks, with no production in the Black Bay area at all. Can't even catch an oyster. It is common knowledge that 1 acre of productive oyster reef is 20 times more valuable to the estuary than an acre of mud. To echo what Billy said, what are we doing here? Seriously, what are we doing here? But in closing, I do want to thank the CPRA for the shoreline stabilization program they're doing in St. Bernard, and I'm happy to report that we actually have some growth in some of the stuff that y'all blues said never would grow. We actually have natural growth on it already. Shoreline stabilization is working in St. Bernard, but large-scale freshwater diversions is not the answer. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, sir. I'll get your name straight next time.
That's all right.
Ryan Lambert. Mr. Ryan Lambert.
Thank you, Chairman Doug. I'm Ryan Lambert. I've been a charter captain in Buras, Louisiana for 46 years. This what happens without diversions. And being I have 19 diversions from Mardi Gras Pass to Baptiste Colette, I've noticed what it does with diversions. I fished 100% of my time on the west side of the river. First 10 years I fished. Now I fish 1% of my time on the west side of the river. The whole estuary is collapsed. The water is on the levee. There's no protection for people. I had 24-foot of water in my lodge for Katrina. Now the water is on the levee. There's no protection whatsoever on that side. Versus the other side where I have 500,000 cubic feet per second going on the east side of the river. 7 times bigger than the Barataria diversion. We fish there 99% of the time. All 10, 12 of my guys are there every single day. And I don't see anybody else in there. All these scientists, all these people that they claim that they know exactly what's going to happen. I don't see one of them. Every day I'm there and no one's there but me. I see dolphins swimming around. I had a scientist with me one day doing core samples. He said, "Oh my God," I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "The dolphins here in the diversion." I said, "So?" He said, "They can't be there." Somebody needs to tell them because they're there every day. What people say from their office and what really happens is two different things. Right now, we're talking about this week, we're going to talk about do away with the limits on redfish. We've already cut down the spectrum trout to 15. It's an $11 billion industry, the fishing industry for recreational and charter fishing. Not 400 million, 11 billion. And without an estuary, without a shoreline, the estuary eats itself. Redfish will spawn offshore when the eggs come in, they're microscopic. A little croaker that big can eat 100 a day. There's a million croakers, guess what? That's 100 million a day getting eaten. Without edge and shoreline, the estuary is just eating itself up. You go all the way to the north end. The most beautiful place in Louisiana is probably Bayou Boeuf. The north end of Lake des Allemands, far up in the estuary as you can go. I visited that 2 months ago. My wife and I used to love to go there in the boat. The old trees hanging over, it's just beautiful. She said, "Let's go take a ride down the bayou, Dave. Let's go see what it looks like." You talk about hard. The oak trees are dying. It's subsiding. The houses are leaning. I mean, it's terrible what's going on in the iceberg. All the way up to the northern end. It's not just coastal erosion. It's erosion. It's subsidence because we took the river away from our estuaries. You're talking about doing mid-bread? I don't want to do mid-bread. What is 35,000 cubic feet more on top of 500,000? That's nothing. Bring it up to mile marker 143. Put it through Lake des Allemands. I drew up the diversion. I already handed it in. And saved millions of acres of cypress trees and oaks. When I was a kid, I used to take the historical society and they said, "We gotta go measure those oak trees back there. They're big as these tables right here." They did. It's all there. Everything I did when I was a child is 2 foot underwater. I camped out, threw my sleeping bag on the ground, camped out, just 2 foot underwater. We're not only losing our coast, we're losing our state. Without diversions, we don't have a chance. On the east side, I did a project with Ducks Unlimited 3 years ago now. It's already built 2,800 acres, got 15,000 trees 30 foot high on it already. We know how to do it. And we know how to save some of the oysters too. Like if mid-Barataria comes, we can build a bridge to move that water towards the west. And the best oyster grounds over there are in Buras and Empire, we can save all that. But everybody's gonna have to work together to get that done. It's just not about one specific industry. Look at the people in St. Charles Parish, my daughters. Every one of them's insurance went up $300 a month. Because we're losing everything on the outside. Our risk of flooding is tenfold. The risk of hurricanes is tenfold. If you take every household in St. John, St. Charles, St. James Parish and go $300 a month, what's that cost? And it's going to go with 18% just flood insurance every year until they say no. So we cannot live without the diversions. That's what I'm going to tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. PJ Hahn.
Chairman, thank you very much, and members of the CPRA group, thanks as well. Years ago, I was the coastal director for Clackamas Parish, And we had developed a plan at the time, working with the Corps, as Billy had mentioned, to lower flood surge to the parish and help protect our levee system as well. Unfortunately, nobody ever listened to anything we had to say, and then one day we finally got Garrett Graves to come up with some money and help us cobble the money together to actually begin working on the plan. Well, when the plan was released, the coastal master plan with the diversion in it, I was asked by Billy Nunn-Gesser, as well as the council members at that time, to go speak against it. They were concerned about a large-scale diversion. I went to every meeting. The first one was in New Orleans, I spoke against it. The second one was in Houma. The third one was out in Lake Charles. The place was packed in Lake Charles. If anybody was there that night, they'll remember it well. 3.5 hours it took me to get up there. People spoke for 45, 50 minutes apiece. And finally, when the room was completely empty, they called PJ Hahn, and I was in the back of the room. I came walking up. There was nobody left in the room. And by then, it was way after midnight. I got to start to speak, and the girl held up a 3-minute cue. So I was like, okay, yeah, but I got to, whatever I have to say, I can say in 3 minutes, quick, that we were against the diversion. Drove 3.5 hours back to New Orleans, got in at 3:30, 4:45 in the morning, and on Monday, I get an email from Garrett canceling our project that he had given us the money to begin working on. So we're not against fresh water, and I think you talk to anybody in this room that knows anything about the coast, you need fresh water. It's a definition of an estuary, fresh water meaning salt water. So we're not against the fresh water, we're against the large-scale diversion. Our plan was to do dredging and building the siphons along there. We have 2 siphons in Plaquemines Parish. If anybody goes in, I'd love to take you out there, Mr. Dutch, to go look at, show you what the state had not done. And that's to dredge out the little fingers that go out there. The siphons don't work because they were never maintained properly by the state. If they would just dredge those little fingers out, they'd get plenty of water out there to help nourish the area. And instead of pushing all this fresh water out in one area, you could actually put a series of siphons along the river, help deepen the river as well, where the Corps, when they do their dredging, could actually dedicate one of the pipes to be able to pump back out in the marsh. And then use your siphons to help get nourishment to those areas to make it sustainable. It's not rocket science. And then the comments that were made, well, we can't dredge our way out of the problem, and dredging is too expensive. You're still going to need a dredge with the siphon, with the diversion. The material is not going to go where you want to go. You know that yourself from being around these things. You go everywhere you probably don't want to go, and then you need a dredge to dredge it where you want to go. The problem is, too, the way these projects are being built. We spend so much money pumping these projects to 6-8 feet for 10% more of the project. The cost of mob and demob, once you figure all that in, 10% more, we can double the height of that thing. And rather than bring all this heavy equipment to level it and get it down to advance ass on how high that thing should be, pump high and just keep the dredge moving and let nature take its course of movement. We're not landing airplanes out there. We're not building a wall for it. Let's do the projects right and cost effective. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Captain Rick.
Thank you, Chairman Doe. Captain George Ricks, wasn't planning on speaking today, but I feel it necessary. 10 years ago, I founded and served as president of the Save Louisiana Coalition. We talked about the mid-Barrett sediment diversion and science and fisheries, and the science is out. I don't know how many of you on the board well, you can't read the whole environmental impact statement on mid-Barrett area, but just the executive summary is 32 pages long. In that executive summary, it states permanent adverse impacts to our brown shrimp, permanent adverse impacts to our oysters, permanent adverse impacts to dolphins. I don't know about you, but I have a problem with permanent. Right now in St. Bernard Parish, we have, Joe was here to plan this, we have the largest marsh creation project in Louisiana history going on. We're going to build Mid-Barrett sediment diversion is estimated to have a net gain of 13,000 acres in 50 years. Right now in St. Bernard Parish, we're building almost 3,000 acres. In less than 4 years. We're gonna build almost 25% of what the Mid-Barry Terrace Sediment Diversion is gonna build in 50 years. We're gonna build it in less than 4 years. At 4% of the total cost, construction cost. $3.5 billion we're talking about Mid-Barry Terrace Sediment Diversion. Not to mention the millions of dollars for mitigation. Mr. Zarang, you spoke about the science. That's not my science. That's in the environmental impact statement. Now, millions of dollars for mitigation. Some of that millions of dollars is for marketing of a product that you won't have. We won't have the brown shrimp. We won't have the oysters. How are you going to market a product that you don't have? Ladies and gentlemen, what are we doing? There is a better way. 13,000 acres in 50 years? If it works, like they say it's going to work. We don't know that. The computer says that, but anybody who knows about computers is trash in and trash out. What you feed in the computers is what you get out. Captain Lambert spoke earlier. We're on both sides of the fence. I'm a charter captain also. You might have seen us on the news years ago on Fox 8, the battle of the two captains. He feels that diversion is an answer. I feel like they a death wish. I've seen what Carnarvon has done in St. Bernard Parish. And listen, I went to the framework development team meetings when they were developing these things, the diversions. I testified in front of an expert scientific panel on diversions. So did Captain Lambert. I'm out there every day. I see what he does. I've seen what Carnarvon has done at 8,000 cubic feet a second. What gets me is some of these environmental groups say, we need these diversions to save the coast. We're not going to save the coast with these diversions. It's not going to save Mr. Zarang's neck of the woods. It's not going to save Grand Isle. It's not going to save Morgan City. But it's going to kill St. Bernard Parish's economy. It's going to kill Plaquemines Parish's economy. We ought to have something to say about that, but we don't. Like I said, it's been shoved down our throats. And I think that's a shame. You know, fishermen are resilient. People are saying our Parish and Plaquemines Parish are resilient. We fought against the oil spill. We fought against Hurricane Katrina. And now we've got to fight our state for our very existence. Something's wrong with this picture.
Thank you, Cap. And in the last, Mr. Sean Duffy.
Chairman Dove, members of the CPRA, I also, my goal was not to speak today, but I want to talk about a couple of things, and I represent the navigation industry. And one of the things in the EIS for the diversion says we'll lose 3,000 acres below the diversion. So that 3,000 acres could wipe out Southwest Pass. I don't know where that is. I don't know if anybody knows where that loss of 3,000 acres will come from. But I will tell you things that weren't said this morning about the lowermost Mississippi River Comprehensive Study, and you can check this to verify. Some of the things it states is the Mississippi River Navigation Channel may be unsustainable. The National Academy of Science also has a study called Miss Delta, and it talks again about the Mississippi River Navigation Channel being unsustainable. The best economics I can give you today is that river accounts for about 5 to 10% of the annual GDP of this nation. There are navigation impacts to diversions. I will say that navigation, before the formation of CPRA, formed a group, and we came together. That was the Governor's Office of Coastal Activities at the time. Navigation, myself, I set up the group. We had members of the pilots, we had members of dredge companies, and we talked about how we could do beneficial use of dredge material. As I sit here today, we started in 2009. We're just below having restored 14,000 acres. Not 14,000 acres that you can't see or that you can't walk on. 14,000 acres above the water line that you can walk on and see. The beneficial use of dredge material works. I'm not here to be pro-diversion. Our comments, we filed comments on the EIS. We saw some problems, but we have to remember that we're looking at changes in the river. We built a saltwater sill 3 times in the last 2 years. Fresh water may also be unsustainable for the city of New Orleans. The eastern side of the river from Bohemia to the head of passes, that's ground zero. And if we don't fix what's happening over there, I'll be careful, but I'll say it probably doesn't matter a whole lot if we build land on the west side of the river. The Mississippi Sound's coming in. What happens in those crevasses, and I'm not a scientist, but I call it a garden hose. So we got a garden hose that's got a bunch of leaks in it. The flow's not in the channel anymore. I can tell you last year in May, we had a 12.1 foot river, 776,000 cubic feet per second at Belle Chase. By the time they got to the head of passes, there was 226,000 cubic feet per second. As Mr. Zerain mentioned, you're losing a lot of flow at Neptune Pass. The Corps is working to control that. We're losing about 30%, maybe a little less, a little more, but somewhere about 30% at Neptune Pass, which isn't just really one pass, it's multiple crevasses. And what happens during high river, those crevasses get bigger, just like Mardi Gras Pass, Fort St. Philip. What happens during low river is those flow inward. We're introducing salinity in new places. We're hemorrhaging on that east side of the river. Much of our future depends on what we do on that eastern side. And the normal response is to fill it in with dredge material. And we should be working to do that. I don't have a position on the diversion. I'm not authorized to release it, but we did file comments as far as the EIS, and we stand by what's in those comments. But navigation is very important to this state and to this country. And when you hear unsustainable, remember that. And I speak today because, in all respect, I don't see anybody that really is a navigation expert in the room. And this is very important to the state. I know the governor and Chairman Dove, I spoke right behind you yesterday. I know your busy schedule, and I'm sorry for delaying everybody from lunch, but those lessons are very important. We're studying and looking at them. If you want to look, just Google map and look at Neptune Pass. Look at the number of crevasses. That east side of the river, again, Bohemia to the head of passes. If we don't fix what's going on there, we will not be able to maintain navigation, and we probably won't be able to maintain fresh water. And that should scare the hell out of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duffy, and, I want to thank everyone who spoke today. It's been very informative, and with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Mr. Guy McGinnis. Thank you. Thank you.